Alright, stream is starting.
Alright, I'll just end this game.
You can play for a bit.
Warm up in.
I need to make an announcement. Yo. Just watching Kitchen Nightmares. The episode where what is it called? Amy's Bakery?
Never heard of Amy's Bakery.
It's on Kitchen. It was an episode of Kitchen Nightmares. Like it's pretty funny, honestly.
How bad is it?
It is very bad.
What do you mean, like the restaurant?
I mean, the food is actually decent. That is one thing that Gordon Ramsay says. Is that the food there was decent. It was the owners who were really bad.
Alright, I just made a private game and change map.
Alrighty, I just made the announcement. Same thumbnail. Should I start announcing my streams on Twitter?
Why not? Make a Twitter following.
Yeah, I had
the Waldo.
Did I do what?
Did you announce your Waldo their weeklies on Twitter?
No, I don't anymore. I announced the first one on Twitter.
Then you should announce them more often on Twitter, man.
True. My second Twitter account got banned, man. I'm so sad.
Why did your second account get banned?
I don't know. Maybe because of the content on there. Listen, I never posted any content on that account. I just retweeted stuff, okay? So they banned me for other people's tweets. That's not my fault. I was just retweeting stuff. If you didn't want it on the platform, why did you let them post it? That's not my fault. I'm just saying, okay?
Why are you giving me lip, boy? Why are you giving me lip, little orange boy?
I don't want to open up Twitter, though.
The lobby's up. Feel free to join.
Hold on, I'm opening up Twitter, I guess. How do I make a tweet again? Alright, what should I put in this tweet?
Attention, faggots!
We
are hosting a Yu-Gi-Oh! I am doing custom zombies on Black Ops 3. Join my Twitch or be gay. Dearly yours, Waldozer.
I don't know how to do an official announcement. What's happening? Hello,
okay, I got a better one. What's happening, shizzles?
What's happening, my shizzles?
I'm doing a Twitch stream of me playing zombies. Be there or be square, yo.
Alright. Zambies. Be there or be square. Alright, let me read this out to you. What's fappening, my shizzles? I'm doing a little Twitch stream of me and Pepe playing some Zambies. Be there or be square.
Yeah, that worked.
Fappening, well.
What's up, mate? All of you. My orange cat is currently, my very obese orange tabby is sitting in my chair beside me, begging for head pat.
Put the stream link.
He is sitting in my chair beside me.
Alright. Why is it not? There we go. I just posted it. Anyway, as you can see, I sent you a picture on Discord. My second Twitter account got banned.
Damn.
How dare they?
All right,
I joined.
let's do this. Let's do this thing. Oh, how you protest, Orange Boy. How you protest.
Monkey Village. Ooh, playing Monkey Village. We're playing
We're gonna
balloons.
do Die Rise. And we're gonna then see if Mob of the Dead will work.
Okay. My volume low.
What in the fuck is this?
Hold on, I need to turn up my volume.
I hate this so much.
I turned up my volume a bit.
Oh. I hate this so much.
You want to do impoppable mode?
The fuck is impossible mode?
You know, impoppable. Play balloons.
It says you are not ready. Get ready.
Do you want to do it or not? Impoppable mode.
Yeah, sure, why not?
What the hell is this music? Not copyrighted, is it?
Gang, I feel like we might be cooked here.
Why?
Did you not see how fast these zombies are?
Wow. Hold on. Impoppable mode. It was certainly an idea.
Oh, I know what this is.
What?
Don't worry about it. I figured out what the music's from.
Oh, fuck. Did you die? No.
I'll save you, Waldozer Coon.
Fuck. Alright, let me revive you.
You're gonna need to unlock some,
Oh boy.
unlock Spike a Bolt. Boy.
What the hell? Why did it take so long for them to all die? Oh, good. Oh, there's my points. Spike a pole.
There you go. We have more room.
Nice. Boomerang. Oh, we can't undo unpoppable, apparently.
Yeah, you just figured that out, huh?
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
Yo. Oh.
Oh,
Well.
I can't believe we lost on round 5 of balloons.
Let's agree to never talk about this map again.
Alright, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, okay, I guess. I guess, sigh.
Look, Tum City was one thing, but like that map was at least turn your brain off fun, you know?
Uh-huh. Oh, shizzle. I thought my thing froze for a second. I didn't even check my audio. Hopefully everything sounds fine. Call of the Dead.
Hello, me little racist orange man. Hello, my little racist orange man. What are you doing?
Hopefully
my cat is looking at me as if I horribly offended him and all of his ancestors.
Hopefully I'm Danny Trejo. When I want to be. Come on, give it to me.
Honestly, I want to be Michael Rooker.
Oh my.
Danny
Right, yes.
Trejo!
Sir, where is he? Let's go stab him. I stabbed him.
Don't you touch George. He's scary. Fuck you, George.
I think we could stab him to death. Oh, fuck. Ah!
You dumb motherfucker! You dumb. Yo, just for that, I'm killing all the round one zombies and leaving you for that.
My point.
Just for that.
I was wondering if we could stab him to death.
Man, you're not skilled enough, clearly.
Stab you, Romero.
Are you fucking with? I was coming towards you to revive you. And what do you do?
I'm making progress.
What do you do, buddy?
Oh no, I'm seeing red.
Oh, well, womp womp.
You should take up my mission and keep stabbing him.
I'm stupid, but not nearly that stupid. Did you see that? I got 4 stabs off on him without him doing nothing. See, that time I got 5 stabs off. I got hit. I grant you. But you know, he didn't do shit. See, where's the mystery box? It's not over there. Alright, it's foggy out though, so we can't really fucking see. You see, George is gonna get mad at me. And then I'm gonna tactically stab him twice again.
Oh shit, he hit me. Look, he's after me.
I think the guy started laughing like a maniac.
Shit, I ain't used to this cold.
Why do you think I started laughing like that? Sir, do not hit me. That's very aggressive.
You can't survive long in this water.
God bless the M14. God bless America. Now you see, I'm gonna do what's called the mag dump a clip into George's head and laugh at him. And then immediately get hit. Hey, come here,
Oh, the box
George.
is that way.
I don't care. There we go. Yeah, you're too much of a pussy shooting in the head. So the box is in the worst spot in the map.
I actually don't know this map very well. Where is it?
It's at the very end of the boat where nobody goes because there's nothing good other than mule kick at that end of the boat, and it costs like 5K to get up there for no good reason. Why would you do this? Do me like this?
What happened? Oh shit, he's after me.
That's karma.
I didn't even shoot him that time.
I was right beside.
I didn't even shoot him.
Touch him either.
I think he was still aggressive from when we were shooting him in the water.
Get that max ammo, boy. So I found out that Cyber Dragon's really funny in rare common format.
You see the dual trial there? Did you see the dual trial they were doing today?
That wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
I really don't understand the theme for it. I just couldn't find a commonality between those
cards
cards.
that are in the legacy pack only.
Oh. Yeah, I built a world chalice deck. It's pretty fun.
World Challenge is
Every time that every time I got close to you linking, my opponent would quit, and I was very unsatisfied.
Can't survive long in this water.
Why would you want a U-Link on your opponent? That's the least fun way to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, it's fun for me.
Only people who play U-Link strategies are genuinely the worst type of people.
I mean, it's not like it wouldn't matter. No one was summoning from the extra deck anyway.
Oh, I might be a bit. Oh, I thought I was cooked there, gang.
Oh shit, we're in a corner.
Oh, dang. Ah, you motherfucker. You know what? Have fun over there.
Alrighty. What the fuck? You shoot him?
I stabbed him. Am I not allowed to stab George straight in his tibia?
You're allowed, I'll allow it.
Nobody, all my homies hate George.
The hell are all the zombies?
Oh, they're all in the starting room trying to kill me, but I'm just stabbing them because insta-kill exists. By the way, I'm on the boat now.
Oh. All the way across, I guess.
Yeah, I only opened that door because we were
fuck, I'm gonna die.
And, do you need some help over there, sir?
Nope, yes I do.
You really made me stop from turning on power just to come rescue
You
you.
can just let me die, man.
No. I insist. I need to be the best teammate I can. And sometimes that involves saving the Twitch streamer's life. Why are there so many zombies up here, Wall? What'd you
I
do?
got trapped under the stairs.
Bruh. This spot's a death trap. You never go here. There you go. Now we're gonna go. Come on, Wall.
I'm coming.
So there's an MP5 here, which is the second best wall buy in this map.
Cool.
Okay, we're gonna go to the boat. We're gonna turn on power, and then we're gonna go after Jug, because Jug's the most important perk. Don't kill the last zombie, by the way. We're gonna need him.
We gotta break in the storm. Let's make.
Alright, you're opening the next doors.
I want my money.
I've opened 3 doors, you've opened none. You don't get to talk about your money.
Money. There's the next door. Is
Yeah,
it
open this door. Yeah. Oh, hang on.
Ah, fuck. I'm in a corner.
Oh, motherfucker. Naughty, Waldo.
It snuck up on me.
Buddy, he was chasing us the whole time. Alright, come up, follow me. We're gonna go down here. We're gonna go to the goated spot.
I have no ammo.
Then get an MPL from down here.
1,000. God. Dingy ass wall.
Come on, let's go. Let's go, Wall. You're gonna follow me, buddy. Alright, I'm gonna open this up. Come on, Wall. Let's go down here. Down here. No,
Hey.
over here.
I've seen this place in Alpha Omega. Play that map sometimes.
Never say that shit again. And this is
Hey,
where
I
Jug
like
is.
Alpha Omega, okay?
Well, you're objectively incorrect.
Alpha Omega is a great map, okay?
Alpha Omega was built off the bones of a far better map.
Yeah, I don't think so. I do not like Call of the Dead better.
Why not? Get Jug. Get Jug or you're gonna die.
Man, this
Oh, hey, max ammo. I guess you just weren't around during the original Black Ops type period.
I was around since World at War. Listen, I think that Black Ops 1 had some decent maps, aside from Triangle Law. I hate that map. I'm not calling Call of the Dead a bad map, I'm just saying I like Tag better.
Alright, now we're gonna leave.
I guess
We're
it's
gonna
what they
leave.
meant by hell.
We need to get out of here. So do we want to go towards the box, or do we want to go get out of the boat, which is a death trap?
Let's go get Scavenger, I guess.
Well, then in that case, we're gonna need to go up to the end of the boat.
Alright.
Bit off more than you can chew.
Oh, there's George. Well, that's not very good for us. Alright, well, I'm at the end of the boat with the box.
Alright, I'm next to George.
Okay, I got a fucking
Fuck,
specter.
I'm trapped.
Motherfucker!
I'm sorry, I thought I could go through here. I'm stuck.
Well, we got fucked.
Dude, this is why Tag is better.
Nuh-uh. Look, man, you're just mad about your 4 down and
No.
60 kills.
You know, I am a bit mad about that, in fact.
Alright, fine.
I don't know. I think Moon is the best map from Black Ops 1. That's always been my opinion. I'm a Moon lover.
What kind of Hennessy have you been drinking?
What? Moon is a good map. What are you on about?
No, Moon's a good map, but it's by no means the best
It is.
one.
It's the best from Black Ops 1.
Man is on drugs.
See, you just don't see the vision, man. Moon
Alright,
is
we're gonna
fucking...
play Die Right. We're gonna play a map that is universally hated now.
I love Die. Actually, I don't love it, but I like it. I like Die Rise. We should do a Zombies tier list at some point. A certified Zombies tier list. In my opinion, matters.
The Red Zombies tier list, where his opinion may matter, but he's objectively and subjectively wrong.
What are your thoughts on Vanguard?
I gotta say, so let me be real with you. I love zombies. Classic zombies specifically. Like Black Ops 3, they got it right. They improved movement.
I don't know.
They added new features. Then when Black Ops 4 came out, everything started to go wrong.
I like Black Ops 4. I'm not gonna let you talk shit about it. I like Black Ops 4.
I didn't say it was bad. I said it's where things started to go wrong.
Darker than a bee crumbs.
Hey, Wall, do yourself a favor. Get in that elevator. Get in this
Fine.
elevator, boy.
Listen, Vanguard, I actually like one of the maps on it. I think they have one A tier map. Fortunately, no S tiers. The key in here? Elevator
Yeah.
key.
Hey, give me that. Let me grab that elevator key. For real, for real.
How do I drop it?
Oh, shit. Well, you don't.
Unfortunate.
Alright, well, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna put the elevator key in this thing. Later, bitches!
I'll expose your conspiracy if it's the last thing I do.
Ah, you're stuck down there now.
What? Did you leave? I jumped down this
I
hole.
left. Alright, I'm just gonna wait for you to turn the power on.
If I never do.
Well then I'll have to go down there.
Listen, I think, as I said, I think Vanguard has one A tier map. No S tiers, unfortunately, but it does have one A tier. I really like. Fuck. I'm gonna die.
Waldo, why is every sentence you have like, fuck, I'm gonna die?
It's only every other sentence, okay?
You okay, Waldozer? Something hurt you as a child.
Hey, listen, I was about to talk about Shino Numa Reborn. I like Shino Numa Reborn.
Yeah, Shino Numa Reborn was in fact S tier, to be fair.
I wouldn't call it S tier. It's really good, but it's not. Only because of the mechanics of Vanguard. Aside from like those two maps, which are incomprehensible, why would you make a non-round based map? Horrible. Anyway, besides those two, Duron Fong and what's it called? The other one, I don't remember their names. Anyway, I think Shino Numa Reborn was A tier. The Archon was somewhere between B and C. I know people really hate it because of the colors, but in terms of gameplay, I think it's somewhere between B and C. Those two non-round based maps are horrible. I've tried them, they were not good.
And you are objectively correct about them not being good.
Glad we can agree on that.
Oh, and why am I out of bullets? Hello? Who's responsible for that?
Oh, where's the elevators? I need an elevator here. Ooh, I can use the elevator key again?
Elevator key. You have it. It's permanent in this version of Die Rise.
Alright, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, you literally just get elevators to where you want them.
Alright. Where is this elevator? There it is. Mule Kick's in here. That's something. I don't have a gun. Gosh darn it.
Well, that's why I went upstairs. That's why I went upstairs, my guy. I saw the writing on the wall and did not approve.
Alright, at least Juggernaut's here.
I got the PDW, baby. Otherwise known as the Powerful Defense Weapon.
On, move, you stupid elevator. Good enough.
Honestly, Black Ops Zombies, the story never got better than when it ended in Black Ops 1.
Put something in the water to make you forget to count your bullets. It's the game.
Fuck, I don't have enough points for that door. Damn it.
Are you gonna die? Are you gonna die, Wall?
I am not gonna die. I just need a gun. Thankfully, I got Juggernaut.
Here, have some ammo. Have some ammo, buddy.
Thank you. And I still can't really kill him because I only have my pistol, but that is helpful if nothing else.
You know, I'm just spamming my PDW. I'm just going with this treasure. I summon PDW Raga.
The problem with making a tier list currently is that I have not played Black Ops 6, Modern Warfare 3, or Black Ops 7, so like I wouldn't be able to rate any of those maps. I own Black Ops 6, if nothing else. My computer can't handle it. So one day when I have a better computer, I'll play every single map in order and rank them. Ooh, I found Pack-a-Punch. Good. The Remington. I don't want to buy the Remington.
But the Remington's the bestington. So I'm gonna be real with you. The Remington on this map is just a reskinned KRM.
I'm
And the
kind of
kids
lost.
there
Lost in the maze down here.
Well, that's the funny part. You don't get out of the maze until you get on top of an elevator and get forced out onto the roof or the floor before the roof.
God damn it, I'm just running
Now,
around in circles, aren't I?
Spoiler alert, the floor below the roof is an absolute death trap that you should avoid at all costs.
Fuck. Just slowly knifing them all to death.
You should have gotten the liquefier.
Hey, listen, man, I don't have enough money to open the door.
What do you mean you don't have enough money? You have 1,600. That's plenty of money.
Because I'm currently stabbing them all to death, man. I'm not close to the door anymore.
You're better than this wall.
Slowly but surely, I'm whittling away the horde.
Much longer.
Currently, I'm using up all my starting pistol ammo.
Looks like I brought a spoon to a gunfight. Recognize the power!
Here, have an insta-kill because you're my friend.
Oh, thank you.
And a
and
nuke
a
because
nuke,
I
thank
just
you.
like you that much.
Well, it's part of
I
something.
have 2 parts for the
Darn if
circle
I know
fire.
what, though.
What are the other
Now,
parts?
I'm gonna go to your building.
Looks like junk.
How many parts does this liquefier have?
Oh, I do not like these guys very much.
Yes, I don't have a gun still.
Well then knife them. Be a man.
Yes, yes.
Oh, they're all
Piss.
over the walls!
Alright,
I do
I just
not
need
like.
a...
These are my favorite boss. I hope. you
Hello,
know
I'm in a
that.
corner.
Oh damn, you got gangbanged.
I lost my jug. Sigh.
Well, I'm gonna have to use. Pray we don't die here.
I do pray.
Because guess who doesn't have jug, gang?
Not me anymore. Neither of us then.
Yeah, you know, you're a real privileged guy to be having jug in this end of the woods.
We're privileged to be bleeding out on the ground. Why you need insurance, folks.
You're real privileged. You know that? You're a privileged kid.
Only Romo's gonna spawn.
You almost give me a damn heart attack.
I'm holding out just fine.
I see that.
Where are these guys? I do not like the way these things dodge bullets.
Do you not like them, Sam I am?
Oh no, I would not eat green eggs and ham.
Would you eat them with a box? Would you eat them in a box?
Okay, there's like one more left. Is there any...
Bro.
What the fuck are these things? Okay.
Would you eat them in a house? Would you eat them with a mouse?
Keeping up on Russ Man, huh?
I think the ones that were with me are traveling all the way over to you.
Well, that's fucking annoying.
Old man don't appreciate being jumped on like that.
There's a lot of them this round.
Yeah.
Great day in the morning.
Okay. Yes, I did just do that casual, sneaky box look.
The Matar.
It's the MTAR to you, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tar.
It's the Patrick Star.
Wonder what's happening.
Oh, finally.
I don't discriminate.
Finally, the last one.
Fuller, wipe out.
Oh, but I'm back at the top.
Okay, well, you can either go down and be
To
cool,
lay down the law on some drudgers.
or you can go to where I am.
Well, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, did you not know meteors are falling in this map?
Fuck. How do I get down here?
You just gotta be enough with Chad.
Alright, I'm in the Who's Who room. This is where all the high rounds are done.
Yeah, I don't need an M1911. I need a real man's gun. You know. AK the best. Oh god damn
Oh
it.
fuck, I can't get to you, man.
Ah, don't worry about it, it's fine.
Oh, whew, thank goodness.
I need to take a piss anyway, if I'm being honest.
Alright, you do your pissing. Ooh, found something.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's good to see you again.
Okay, buddy. Okay, Stuinger. Damn it. Pistol's not good.
Much better. You went the wrong way, Wall, but I respect you for trying.
Came to me? Ah, fuck. I'm about to fall to my death. Alright.
Alright, gotta do this quickly. Show you how a real man survives some die rise.
Can't get up there.
Yeah, you need to wait for the elevator to come get you, buddy.
Gimme.
Just what the riot needed to get started.
Maybe pray the zombies don't hit me. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the zombies not hit me. If the zombies hit me, they're gay. And then I just get... Oh, god damn it.
Rip.
Yeah, no, I jumped down and there's 4 zombies waiting for me.
I don't know where you are, unfortunately.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Well, there's a lot of zombies here. Oh, fuck. Alright, I made it. I was very close.
Hope no one knows that was all.
Oh my god, I was in the room next to you.
Isn't
That's
that
why they all
unfortunate?
spawned down there. I'll kill try this again. Try not to be absolute garbage at zombies. Pepe Escobar.
Oh, everyone's always talking, saying I'm crazy, saying I talk to myself. I don't do that. I never talk to myself. I'm not crazy.
Okay, I got RPD. Never mind. We golden.
Golden? Freddy? Freddy Fazbear? I wonder where the final slipper fire part is.
Oh, they're all in the same relative area. Which one are you missing?
I got the one next to the TV, the one right next to where you built the slipper fire, and the one in the electricity room.
Oh, okay. I think I know where the last one is.
He's stuck here. I hope no one knows that was all luck. Get out of my way and get dead.
I just need to save up for Jug. Oh, God, not these fucking things.
Alrighty. Damn, now that you said that you needed to piss, I need to piss. God damn it.
Jumpy jump fucks right on us.
Oh, fuck off!
It's unfortunate.
Alright, I have to leave you. My Minecraft friends are calling me.
We made it to round 10.
Oh, and I've been posting. I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Don't even fret about it. Ugh.
Anyway, you have a good one.
You too, man. Ugh. I need to piss. God damn. Give me a second. I'll BRB. Alright, Pepe's still here for some reason. That's odd. That's auspicious. God, that was a loud burp. I'm gonna replace the images for that, unfortunately. Oh, this is fine. This is fine. Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to leave Black Ops 3. What should we play now, I guess? We still got like an hour at least that we can do things. I've only been streaming for 40 minutes. So... God, my voice cannot handle Perfect Apocalypse. I would love to do it, but I can't handle it. My voice would die. Unless we're playing some balloons, eh? Hello, good sir. Would you like to play some balloons? I'm ballooning all over the place. Me when I BL on my oons. Find a good video essay to watch, I guess. Video essays, what do we have here? Breaking Bad is television's magnum opus. Endgame, ooh, that's a good one. Let's do this. Let's do it.
There are two ways to go. One is just to create a spectacle that people could munch popcorn and hoggle at and enjoy, and that certainly is a lucrative proposition. But as a filmmaker who's going to be working on this thing for 2 years and possibly other films to come, it's important for me to have an aspect to it that I could really buy into beyond just being a trifle.
What the fuck was that?
Just a treat for the audience. You also want to do something where you're telling a story and maybe speaking to something and going for something a little bit more.
Alrighty.
Unless you've somehow been living under a rock for the past 15 years, you've probably heard of a little movie that came out in 2019 called Endgame. It was the continuation to the record-breaking Infinity War that came out just a year prior, as well as the climactic finale to the Infinity Saga, something that Marvel's been brewing since the release of the first Iron Man back in 2008.
I am Iron Man.
From the seemingly disconnected establishment of the MacGuffins who would come to know as the Infinity Stones, the subtle pieces of characterization we got for the Mad Titan hiding in the background of the Guardians series, Marvel had somehow succeeded in accomplishing the impossible, giving the world 21 mostly great movies while simultaneously laying the groundwork for one of the most upsetting, impactful cliffhangers to ever grace the silver screen.
End.
And all of it was leading up to Endgame. With this 3-hour-long film, fans were finally going to get to see decades worth of storytelling come to an end.
Let me just
Every time
restart.
I'm at a premiere, up to this point, I've had
balloons aren't
going to
be coming down here, is what I'm hearing.
That they were all chapters in the overall story that we were eventually going to bring to a conclusion. Tonight, we bring it to a conclusion. Tonight, I feel like I've actually finished the big, long, giant story that we started nearly 12 years ago with the first Iron Man film.
So, opening night, April 26th, 2019. With the weight of
Okay,
the entire
buddy.
what Marvel as a company has been working towards on the line, one question was on everyone's mind. Would this movie actually live up to all this hype?
No.
Box office records, bringing in $1.2 billion.
Nope. Somehow, Endgame managed to take everything Marvel had been working towards, everything that had been so meticulously set up, and completely and utterly disintegrate every last one of them, leaving us with one of the most disappointing, disrespectful endings the saga could have possibly finished off with. So let's talk about that for like, fuck, I don't know, 2 hours, shall we?
2
Ladies and
hours.
gentlemen, boys and girls, today in this video essay, I would like to peel back the layers of this mega franchise ending event of a film and show you how beyond its production value, beyond all the Marvel hype and blood, sweat, and tears that it took to get to this moment, Endgame itself was just not that good.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Infinity War was fucking amazing, and then Endgame
To
just...
fully understand just how colossal of a disappointment Endgame was, we first need to talk about Civil War, the 2016 movie that saw the Avengers go toe-to-toe against each other for the very first time. It was officially meant to be the third installment of the Captain America franchise, but its conflict ended up being way bigger than that. You see, Tony and Steve have always been slightly at odds with one another. Their arcs throughout the MCU almost complete mirror images. Tony's arc had always been one of humility. He got the brain to do whatever he wants, but it takes him a while to learn how to use it for good. Starting off as a reckless, irresponsible jerk at the beginning of Iron
my
Man,
water.
to someone with a bit more maturity by the end of it.
I just finally know what I have to do.
Over time, we slowly saw this self-assured, self-serving nature get whittled down more and more as Tony's recklessness kept proving to do more harm than good. And eventually he started taking his impulses with a grain of salt, learning to trust more in the people around him instead of trying to tackle everything himself.
Which one should I do?
Steve's arc was almost the exact opposite. He begins a scrawny, powerless, yet the most humble, responsible, good-natured individual.
Guess I just gotta hope that the medals come
So
through
much so
here.
that in his first movie, his no-hesitation self-sacrifice to jump on a grenade is what leads him to getting chosen for the super serum, what leads him to becoming Captain America. Steve starts off completely trusting in the world around him, in his country, in his superiors to know to do the right thing, only for that belief to be turned on his head in Winter Soldier when the organization he was working for turns out to have been corrupt from the very beginning. And like, really corrupt, with actual Nazis and shit who want to take over the world. These realizations eventually sending Steve down the path to listening to himself more, knowing what's right in his heart and following it. Now, ever since these two first met, there's always been a bit more than a little animosity between the two of them.
Take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Their differing worldviews often leading to disagreements in regards to how to deal with certain problems the team would come up against. We saw this with how each of them dealt with Phase 2 in the first Avengers, and then again in Age of Ultron, when Tony kept advocating for his Iron Legion, even after the first batch turned out to be a bit more than a little murderous. But no matter how large these disagreements got, things were usually pretty brushed aside by the third act, since what usually ends up being the right thing to do is just punch the bad guy. Really, really hard. Civil War was the first time they didn't get an easy way out. This movie took the mild differences they always had between them and turned it up to 11, giving them a conflict so emblematic of their different worldviews that they literally just couldn't resolve it, leading to the entire team being split into two by the end of the movie. A split that directly led to that devastating loss at the center of both Infinity War and Endgame.
The Civil War is where it started to come into our brains because, as we were executing that movie, we wanted to kind of break up the Avengers and shatter that relationship at the heart of it between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. They're the heart and soul of the Avengers, So for the two of them to have a falling out and have an irreconcilable problem was really, just devastating to the team as a whole. And sort of as we were executing it and we realized how well we were sort of achieving that on an emotional level with the characters, that's when I think our brains started to open up to, oh my God, they're so vulnerable now. Now, what happens when Thanos comes? That's when our brains I think started stepping through where it's going to go. In our minds, that's why the Avengers lost in Infinity War. It's the fact that they were divided. They weren't functioning as a team in that movie any longer, and so they weren't prepared for the universe's greatest threat.
It began with the Accords. Have you ever sat in the theaters munching on popcorn, seeing those heroes zip around, ramming into building after building, and thought, are there people in there? Well, Civil War says yes. Those people are getting kind of fed up with all these buildings dropping down on them all the time. Really ruins property value, Which is why in this movie, the average citizens of the world are fighting back with the Sokovia Accords. Named after the fictional country Sokovia from Age of Ultron, the Avengers caused this to happen. The Accords represent for the first time repercussions for the Avengers' actions, and states that the Avengers shall no longer be a private organization, instead operating under the direct supervision of a United Nations panel, only when and if that panel deems necessary, basically signing away the entire group's autonomy. Secretary Ross brings the news of the Accords to the Avengers at the beginning of the movie, along with an ultimatum: either agree and sign, or disagree and retire immediately. Quit being heroes, just like that. It is here where Tony and Steve very quickly find themselves the representatives of two opposing viewpoints. Tony for signing, believing that they need to be put in check, acknowledging the hurt and pain their mistakes have caused in the past and the responsibility to do something about it.
We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm getting. If we can set limitations, we're boundaryless, no better than the bad guys.
Steve against that, although he agrees they have made mistakes in the past, they themselves are still the best suited to decide how their powers are to be used. Organizations can't be trusted.
It's run by people with agendas, and agendas change. That's good. That's why I'm here. When I realized my guys are capable of in the wrong hands, I shut it down and stop manufacturing. You chose to do that. If we sign this, we surrender our right to choose. What if Snail sends us somewhere we don't think we should go? What if there's somewhere we need to go and they don't let us? We may not be put. The safest hands are still our own.
And it's quite cool because just off their surface level personality, Tony being the narcissistic, quick-witted type who's told the government to mind their own business on multiple occasions in the past, and Steve, the goody two-shoes soldier who's literally Captain America, you'd think their stances would be flipped. That Steve would be for following the rules while Tony would want to break them. But here it's the opposite, and yet it feels completely authentic. Because this isn't just a dumb, out-of-nowhere conflict the writers are haphazardly throwing around just to get them to fight each other, and but rather the culmination of ongoing individual arcs we've been following for quite some time now. And what we end up with is a story that actually explores genuinely interesting concepts. The idea of ideals versus compromise, believing in yourself, and trusting others, diving deep into this whole notion of what it takes to work in a team, whether that's within the context of the Avengers or even the context of the world in its entirety. With Tony and Steve's well-established histories lending so much more credibility and nuance to the arguments they're trying to make. And by the end of the film, both sides are given equal opportunity to state their case, starting with Steve's side of things. When world leaders gather in Vienna for the ratifying of the Accords, they are interrupted by a terrorist attack. A photograph is released of a suspect believed to be James Buchanan Barnes, a soldier, aka Buck, Steve's childhood best friend.
Alright.
Bucky unfortunately fell into the hands of Hydra in the first Cat film, where he was experimented on by Nazi soldiers and brainwashed, given a metal arm, and turned into a killing machine. Steve knows deep down Bucky is a good guy, and last they met, there was already beginning to be some hope that he could be snapped out of his Winter Soldier state. But that's not what the world sees. So, when everyone starts looking for this guy, with orders to shoot on sight, Steve's forced to operate outside the law to ensure his friend doesn't get misunderstood. Things get even dicier when elusive Bucky reveals that it wasn't him at all behind the bombings, but someone posing as him to draw him out of hiding. A guy named Zemo, who wants to topple empires, who now knows where to find dozens of super soldiers who are capable of doing so. And also obsessed with this one mission report, December 16, 1991 for some reason, no idea what that's about. Anyways, the Avengers need to get to this guy fast. But at this point, because of what he had to do to get Bucky to safety, Steve and the rest of his crew have been deemed criminals, and Secretary Ross has given Iron Man exactly 36 hours to bring the rogue heroes in. The two halves meet on the tarmac of an empty airport. Supposed friends turned against each other for the first time. Steve tries to explain, but at this point, it's too late. A battle ensues. And although none of them were actually all too serious throughout, Rhodey ends up severely injured after an accidental misfire from Vision, as well as everyone except Steve and Bucky getting thrown into prison. The team that was once meant to take on the battles regular people couldn't, were now being used to waste time fighting each other instead of the real enemy, all due to needless bureaucratic misunderstandings. Then, even after those misunderstandings are finally cleared up, when Tony eventually catches up to speed on the existence of Zemo and implores Ross to send in the cavalry now that they finally know who the real target is, Ross won't let him, hell-bent on capturing what he believes is the rogue Captain America. This is exactly what Steve had warned everyone about at the beginning of the movie, that if they were to sign the Accords, they would be signing away their autonomy, that there could come a time when they needed to be somewhere, but the authorities wouldn't let them go. And so, with the stakes down much higher, Tony finally gives in, sneaking off to give his old friend some much-needed backup. Now, if the movie ended the argument there, it would have taken a side. Captain America would have been right, and it would have just done what all the other films had done. Have their differences be a slight obstacle in the middle, and then just make the stakes over the top at the end and not really have to deal with it. But not only would that be boring, it would also be an incredibly disappointing resolution to the conflict this film set up. That sure, these heroes leave behind a lot of casualties every time they try to save the world, but who cares as long as they deal with a baddie that only superpower beings can defeat, so the ends kind of justify the means, and I don't know, it'd be a bit of a slap in the face to audiences who actually have to deal with similar issues in the real world. For it to explore such a mundane political problem, only to resolve it with something completely out of the reach of reality. Good thing this movie doesn't do that. This movie. Instead, this is where it starts to go even harder into the political quandary it's exploring. This is where it starts to make the argument from Tony's side. When Steve, Buck, and Tony arrive at the compound ready to face the fight of their lives, they find all the super soldiers dead.
Did you really think that we'll do more of you?
And learn that Zemo was here for something else entirely. That everything this guy did, bombing the UN, disguising himself as Bucky, all of it was just to get his hands on one piece of information. Mission report, December 16, 1991. The day the Winter Soldier was sent out to steal the serum that allowed Hydra to create the super soldiers in the first place. And how in the process of covering his tracks, he kills the ones who were transporting the serum, making it look like an accident. A car accident. The car accident Tony thought killed his parents so long ago, now revealed to have been Bucky all along. Tony learns that standing right before him is the man who killed his parents. All of a sudden, this distant idea of casualties isn't so distant anymore. That although Bucky didn't mean to, the Winter Soldiers hurt a lot of people, his parents being two of them. Still in the middle of processing everything, Tony just has one question to ask.
Did you know? I didn't know it was him. Did you know? Yes.
Water, I need my water.
How hard you hit shit from the Battle of the Airport earlier, past benign political differences now, this is personal. Steve tries to reiterate, to explain that that wasn't Bucky, but Tony doesn't care.
He killed my mom.
With this final battle, we are put into the mental headspace of a very broken perfect hero. Everyone understands that the Avengers don't mean to leave casualties behind. This is Bucky never meant to kill Tony's parents, but that doesn't mean that they can just easily overlook the immense amount of pain that comes as a result of these mistakes. Zemo himself revealing that his entire family was lost during the Sokovia incident, but this entire vendetta against the Avengers has all been due to his inability to reconcile with that pain, a consequence directly the result of our hero's actions. And by the end of the day, he has fully accomplished what he set out to do. The Avengers are in pieces. Sure, deep down, Tony understands that it wasn't Bucky's fault, but at this point, the team is irrevocably divided. One half operating in the light but under bureaucratic oversight, the other free to do whatever they want, but living in the shadows as vigilantes, criminals. And when next we see them at the beginning of Infinity War, to reveal that the team remained in shambles this entire time, that battle between Tony and Steve was literally the last thing they did before straight up just not communicating with each other for 2 entire years.
The Avengers broke up. We're toast.
Broke up. Like a band? Like the Beatles?
Kevin fell out hard. We're not on speaking terms.
On the surface, Civil War could easily been a cash grab, banking on the fact that most audiences were already hooked by the premise of your favorite superpower good guys fighting each other and see who would win. I mean, there was a whole fan community around the subject basically everywhere for nothing. But they didn't. Instead, going above and beyond to actually utilize this premise that explores some of the very interesting, very real political and personal conflicts the heroes would actually fight each other over, giving us an incredibly engaging story, as well as a conflict that remained unresolved by the end of it, which leads us to Infinity War. When Thanos comes looking for the stones in 2018, the team is still in shambles. Tony makes a small attempt to reach Rogers when he realizes how dire the situation is at the beginning of the film, but it fails. The team remains largely divided throughout the rest of the runtime, with him, Strange, Peter, and the Guardians holding back Thanos and Titan, and Captain America and the others doing their best back on Earth. But none of it is enough. After 2.5 hours of watching our heroes try so desperately to stave off the inevitable, our story concludes with a devastating loss. This time, it is Tony who warned them about this. That on top of all his personal reasons for wanting to sign the Accords, another major factor was simply to keep the Avengers together, a point that he, as well as many others, brought up multiple times during their arguments in that movie.
I'm doing what has to be done to save us something worse.
Staying together is more important than how we stay together.
If we don't do this now, it's gonna be done to us later.
Even as far back as Ultron, this was something Tony has been trying to prepare for, with Cap brushing off his concerns.
Anybody remember when I carried a nuclear wormhole?
No, never come.
Say New York?
Never heard that.
Recall that? A hostile alien army came charging through a hole in space. We're standing 300 feet below. We're the Avengers. We can bust arms to us all live long, David. That up there, that's it again. How are you guys planning on beating them? Together. We'll lose. Then we'll do that together too.
And we'll do that together too.
And now?
God, I hate how Endgame handled that. Oh, still pissing me off.
You weren't there.
What started off as a disagreement between how to go about the Accords ended up splitting open a chasm that was different in ideology between the two heads of the team. Tony on the side of caution, compromise, collaboration, after realizing how ineffective his lone wolf strategies of the past were, and Steve on the side of independence, sticking to your gun, believing in yourself to know to do the right thing, after the betrayals of authority had experienced in Winter Soldier. And with the reveal of Bucky being the one behind the death of Tony's parents still unresolved, and now this unimaginable loss they've all suffered that Tony's been trying to warn them about for years at that point, it really seemed like the Avengers were at a point lower and more divided than they've ever been, with it all being left up to Endgame to finally put an end to all this, to resolve this open wound that had been festering for years at that point. So, how did Endgame do it?
Poorly.
Why long are you going? Turns out, time is first. I hate it. It's not like I did.
What? No, actually, what? Was that actually it? What are we, a quarter of the way in the film? Just boom, they're just good now? That's how they're resolving this? Hold, back up. How the heck did we get to this point? So the Avengers are absolutely devastated at the beginning of this movie, right? After reuniting for the first time since Civil War, Cap tries to motivate everyone not to give up, to get out there and find Thanos, but Tony's not having it. He believes that this is it. There's no hope. They try to fight Thanos and they got their ass whooped and just about done getting pulled around by Steve's kitty optimism. So the team just kind of ignore him and eventually figure out what Thanos is and realize that if they can just steal back the stones from him, they'll be able to snap their own fingers, bring everyone back. Everyone is tense as they arrive at the garden, only to find that Thanos used the stones to destroy the stones. That Tony was right. There really is no hope. They really fully, completely fucked up this time with absolutely no possibility for redemption. Then, 5 years later, nobody cares. Steve still good old press smile, Captain America sticking to his guns, and what was that about consequences for your actions? Psh, Scott Lang just shows up at their door and presents a way to use time travel to get everyone back. And Cap's like, great, it might be super dangerous, you say? Getting trapped in the quantum realm? Yeah, the past couple gambles I made it up horribly, but what's one more, am I right? So Cap goes to Tony and is like, hey Tony, ready for another trip to the slot machine? And Tony's just fine too. Don't worry about apologizing for the whole keeping the truth about my parents from me thing. Just kind of skipped over that whole section. But yeah, everything's chill and like, I know you literally got a chance to bring everyone back, but like, yeah, I have a daughter now, and she's like really cute. So, and besides, time travel is super duper hard. Like, I don't. Wait, what was that? Oh, I cracked time travel? It was that easy? Well, damn, I'd be a really big dick if I didn't join the team now, huh? Well, handshake emoji. Handshake fucking emoji. The entire ongoing thread of Civil War, its themes, Tony and Steve's issues, is just completely brushed off to the side. Just 5 years past, resentment is corrosive apparently, and nobody cares. It's all just fixing up the problem from Infinity War now. Just, oh look, the stakes are too high, so we're just gonna ignore everything that can past.
Alright, I got 3 fortunes.
And guess what? Even though it hand waves the stuff from Civil War, the different stances between these two characters exist. When Steve confronts Tony about this dangerous new chance to get everyone back, Tony's initially hesitant. A continuation of his side of the argument that maybe they shouldn't just blindly believe in themselves all the time.
The stones are in the past. We can go back, we can get them. We can snap our own fingers, we can bring everybody back. Or screw it up worse than he already has.
Except even after all they've been through, all Steve has to say in response is apparently just,
I don't believe you would.
I don't believe we would. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I know you love your ideals, but take a look around you. This is all in large part directly the result of your decision to stick to your ideals. The same decision you were so ignorantly pushing now. Except, I guess this time it just works out. The time heist goes off basically without a hitch, which is a different problem we'll get into later. They just snap their own fingers and boom, everyone's back. Endgame took this complex, compelling, intricate theme that both Civil War and Infinity War left it, and just threw everything in the trash, destroying everything that came before by making the characters not learn any lessons at all. They did the same thing they did before, except this time the writers just hand them away out. The solution to the very interesting and complex problem of government intervention, they're gone. The government's gone. They just dust down, listen to them. Iron Man's out of the argument, gone. Who cares if he has a daughter? Who cares if they're literally messing with the past and he's understandably worried about what that might mean for the present? Steve Little, I don't believe it would. Guess what? Doctor Strange literally said there was a 1 in 14,605,000 chance that you guys succeeded. But hey, who cares as long as this was the one, am I right? So, yeah, that's how Endgame massacred Civil War. This had Tony be angry in one scene at the beginning, to which the rest of the team's response is just L plus ratio was trust me, bro. It jumped 5 years. Ant-Man says, don't worry, guys, none of these consequences matter. We can just figure out time travel. Tony's like, don't worry, guys, just figure out time travel. They go back in time, get the stones, snap their own fingers. It's all just fine. Let's move on to Infinity War, shall we?
Damn, it's not in the range.
Infinity War so badly, we must first return to the headspace everyone was left with at the end of that movie. The Avengers had just lost big time. Thanos was a villain Marvel had been teasing since the first Avengers movie, and this film would make him out to be just as inevitable as he was promising. This film would prove that even with all these heroes, the most ambitious crossover event in cinematic history apparently, it wasn't enough. The death of Heimdall, the death of Loki, the death of Gamora, the death of Vision, no matter how hard our heroes tried, no matter how much they sacrificed, how much they lost, none of it was able to stop Thanos from collecting all 6 Infinity Stones and dusting half of all life across the entire galaxy. Bucky, T'Challa, Wanda, Wilson, Strange, every single one of the Guardians except for Rocket. And most famously, Peter, I don't want to go hard. Audiences could do nothing but watch as one by one these characters they had come to love so much over the years fell to dust. And then, credits. Infinity War gave fans one of the most impactful cliffhangers we had ever seen. And it was going to be an entire year of suspense and tension and dread before they would finally get any sort of resolution to the state of absolute despair they were in. The despair is so palpable that Marvel themselves even decided to play into it, setting up 3 counseling tents at Comic-Con that year, which was actually kind of cute. They're like Marvel themed motivational posters up on the wall. We are Groot, more than 12% of a plan, and they help fans work through their trauma with questions like, what's your first memory of the MCU? What was something that did that surprise you? What was it like when you saw the ending of Infinity War? Hey, wait a minute, this is an audience feedback questionnaire in the sky. And suddenly, it was here. Endgame. After a full year of waiting, a full year of anticipation, we would finally get the payoff to all that setup. Finally get the sequel to the most anxiety-inducing films of the decade. And
nice.
Bruce. Damn. Bruce. Listen to your mom. She knows better.
Let's first talk about the tone of this movie. Infinity War left us off with one of the most despairing situations any of the heroes had ever been in. Again, despair so palpable, Marvel's got good reason to set up 3 counseling tents. But almost right off the bat in Endgame, nobody really seems to care. Cap starts off still soldiering on, telling people to move on, grow, and maybe even look on the bright side. Then there's Tony, who, you know, gets this one scene at the beginning of the movie, then 5 years pass and he's just fine too. He's got a daughter now, and he's all more Luna. Apparently he isn't even a hero anymore. Just back to good old wisecracking Tony Stark. And with the rest of the team too. At most, all anyone ever gets is 1 or 2 scenes of breathing before it's either immediately swept to the side or worse, played as a joke for the rest of the film. And some others, for example, the abomination that is Professor Hulk, which I'll get into much later.
Oh god.
Literally better than he's ever been throughout the entirety of the MCU. For most of the movie, the heroes just crack on almost without a care in the world. There's constantly this weird mix of upbeat, but whenever they're reminded of how devastating Infinity War was, they get all quiet and serious, only to undercut itself with a joke in that Marvel style we've all become so familiar with, and return to the status quo of fart jokes and cheese whiz. Infinity War managed to plunge audiences into one of the most tense, high-stakes, high-emotion devastations the MCU had ever seen. And this movie treats fixing all of that with the levity of like a big fat family fun road trip. Which brings me to my next point. Why did the mission to bring back literally half of all life in the galaxy basically end up feeling as difficult as one big fat family fun road trip? Infinity War did an amazing job, jobbing Thanos up to be the most badass dude in the galaxy. They had the Avengers, teaming up with the Sorcerer Supreme, teaming up with the Guardians, teaming up with the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, teaming up with the Black Panther, as well as the entirety of the Wakandan army, and yet the film's answer was that none of that was enough. Almost the entire MCU lineup of IPs that they had slowly built up throughout the entire decade all coming together in this epic once-in-a-lifetime crossover, and they barely even laid a scratch on the guys throughout the entire runtime of the film. And when he finally manages to use the power of the 6 Infinity Stones to snap literally half of all life away at the end of that movie, it left audiences with the feeling that this was an impossible situation to get out of. That impossibility being one of the things that made Endgame such a must-watch. To find out just how the hell the heroes are going to get themselves out of this mess, how epic their efforts must have to be in this movie for them to be able to beat a villain they already lost so completely to once already. So, how did Endgame do it?
Time travel! What? I see this as an absolute win.
Endgame's resolution to the impossible to get out of situation that Infinity War left off with was not to make our heroes have to do even cooler shit in order to get themselves out of it, but rather artificially make the impossible situation itself less impossible through completely contrived and bullshit ways. So, the movie starts off with the heroes forming a plan to steal the stones back from Thanos, to do a reverse snap to bring everyone back. Only to find that Thanos used the stones to destroy the stones, and they are absolutely really no if, no buts, no coconuts. Fuck. Thor cuts his head off, and the team
Yes,
then,
let's go.
5 years pass. We cut to the quantum machine, sitting idle in a storage facility, and suddenly, a rat. That's right, screw Tony, screw Cap, screw Ant-Man going up at the Thanos' butt and exploiting him from the inside. The true savior of the Avengers, nay, of the entire galaxy, was actually Remy the Rat, taking some time out of his busy schedule to somehow step across the panel in the exact order required to release Scott from his quantum prison. Now, if you didn't watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, a totally unrelated movie that came out between Infinity War and Endgame, this scene would probably mean nothing to you. Be a little confusing even. But if you did, and you sat through till the after credit scene, you would have known that the snap at the end of Infinity War just so happened to happen right in the moment when Hank and Hope were meant to pull Scott out of the quantum realm. They get dusted, no one just click the button, therefore Scott becomes trapped. And he stays trapped for an entire 5 years until Rat. Anyways, Scott pops out and finds the Avengers compound and tells everyone that what was 5 years for everyone out on Earth was only 5 hours for him in the quantum realm. Time works differently down there, and if they were to find a way to harness it, they might be able to time travel. Get everyone back. Steve and Nat are like, great, let's go try to figure out time travel. They all head to Tony's place. Tony's like, it's too risky, I have a dog now, so they do. Then they visit the Hulk/Banner, we learn that he's turned into an abomination now, again, more on him later, and convince him to maybe help out, and that's that. We cut back to Tony, who presumably later that very night accidentally stumbles onto a photo of Peter Parker and is like, yeah, I guess a lot of people did die, huh? Maybe I'll give the time travel thing just a little try, and then...
Perfect.
Now, let's pause for a moment right here and do a little recap of everything that's happened so far. The Avengers get absolutely shreked in Infinity War. Thanos seems like an impossible being, and he has all 6 Infinity Stones and can basically do anything. Everyone is desperate to know how they're going to take him down in Endgame, to which Endgame renders Thanos completely inconsequential 20 minutes into this thing, and then by literally a quarter of the way in, they just figured out time travel and solved the whole the stones are gone problem through a combination of sheer luck and Remy stepping across the panel, and Tony just tinkering around in his garage for like an evening. And it's not even like Scott provided something the Avengers didn't have or anything. Tony refused to help, so he got nothing besides one conversation where all Ant-Man tells him is to try quantum realm maybe. So theoretically, Tony could have figured out time travel any time, and Scott was literally just the slightest nudge he needed to, I don't know, try? Infinity War managed to plunge audiences into one of the most overwhelming, disastrous situations MCU had ever seen. But all of that is completely cheapened by just how easy it is for a hero to resolve everything in this movie. Let's start with Thanos. I get that him not fighting back and being taken down so easily at the beginning of the film is mostly in line with the character we are introduced to in Infinity War. All he cares about is a snap, and now that he's done that, and also use the stones to destroy the stones, so in his mind there should be no way for them to undo everything. He probably wouldn't care to fight for his life anymore. This makes sense to Thanos' story, kind of, but on a more meta level, his presence was a huge part of what made the ending of Infinity War so dire. So, although there is a different Thanos that does come back to tell the heroes at the end of the film, and I'll get to him later, our OG Thanos just getting kind of axed right away and then just being completely until the final act is, well, let's just say an incredibly convenient out of something that seemed like it was going to be a much bigger deal. But at least that wasn't the end of it. At least with his death came a new, seemingly even more insurmountable obstacle for our heroes to surmount. The stones were gone. Their only way out of this mess was destroyed. And due to Infinity War and the entirety of the Infinity Saga that came before it, we become very familiar with these stones and the power they possess. So the fact that they were destroyed was a huge deal. But then, Tony just figured out time travel in a single scene, and suddenly nothing is that big of a deal anymore. Practically the entire film is like this. After they figure out time travel, we continue on to the section where they're getting the band back together, and although they try to make it seem like each of the Avengers are in such a dark state after the 5 years that they just won't join back anymore, they just do. Both Thor and Hawkeye agree to join back in a single scene with like one conversation of convincing. No, literally. Thor especially. We open up a Valkyrie noting that Thor won't see them. He won't see you. But then they just enter his place, to which he is actually incredibly thrilled to see them and don't give off the vibe that he would have turned them away at all. Anyways, but then, oh my god, Thor is fat now, and he's this pathetic Fortnite shit-talking loser, and he's so traumatized by what happened with Thanos that just saying his name is in the panic attack. Yeah, no, Rock's here on the ship, and that's how they convinced him to join the team. Infinity War left our heroes with one of the most impossibly difficult situations they've ever encountered in the MCU. With everything they did, every obstacle they encountered requiring immense sacrifice, both internal and external, to overcome. But everything is just so easy in Endgame, with solutions to obstacles practically just handed to them on a silver platter, resolved so immediately they might as well bother setting it up in the first place. And no more is the problem than in the timeline itself. The plan is basically to split off into 3 teams, each in charge of a couple stones to retrieve. Tony, Steve, Scott, and the Abomination go to New York, Rhodey, Nebula, Clint, and Natasha go to space, and Rocket and Thor go to Asgard. In Infinity War, every single stone that was taken by Thanos on screen came with it an intensity and drama that made every handoff exciting, like a big deal. The reality stone saw Thanos tricking Gamora into thinking she killed him, leading to a brutal scene of her breaking down, showing that even though it's Thanos and she would not hesitate to slit his throat, there's still some part of her toxic and abusive past that won't let go. The fight for the Soul Stone led to intense moments like Quill promising to kill Gamora if Thanos ever got her, and him actually committing to that promise. A rare moment of maturity and will from someone who didn't characterize so much as the incompetent buffoon of the bunch. And when Gamora had to make the same trade-off with her sister Nebula, she couldn't, leading to her own death on Vormir, where Thanos sacrifices her for the Soul Stone, and we get the end to a character we've been following through 2 movies by now. The fight for the Time Stone led to an epic crossover team-up between extremely unlikely groups: science, magic, space, ass-kicking, giving us a super cool fight scene of everyone mingling their powers together to take Thanos down, only for him to defeat every single one of them, literally weaponizing an entire moon, which was just holy shit, such a bad scene, and stabbing Tony in the stomach. And finally, the Mind Stone was physically linked to a long-running character, Vision, a threat to everyone on the team, as well as one potential partner, as well as kind of Banner and Tony and Ultron's son, so there's also that. All of a sudden, the Americans are plunged into a trouble dilemma of either sacrificing Vision or the stone right then and there, or taking the risk of getting into a combat, so they might be able to extract the stone from him before destroying it, risking Thanos getting to it in the meantime. But, as Cap says,
we don't trade lives, Vision.
The plan fails miserably as they are unable to hold Thanos and his forces back, causing them to abandon the plan, forcing Wanda to destroy Vision with her own hands at the very last second. But she does it. Against all odds, she destroys the stone, killing the one she loves just in time before Thanos got to it. Only for the Mad Titan to nonchalantly use the Time Stone he just beat the crap out of Tony for, to turn back time, bring Vision back from the dead, just to kill him all over again by crushing the Mind Stone out of his skull with his bare hands. Every single stone Infinity War tackled brought with it an immense weight and tension. Its plot tightly interwoven with character dilemmas that made each sequence gripping to watch. But oh my god, is it the opposite in Endgame? The Power Stone, you say? How about Nebula just reaches into the shield on Morag with her bare hands and just, yeah, she just takes it. No opposition at all. Her and Rhodey show up on Morag. When he banned her for a bit, she just sticks her metal arm to the barrier and that's that. They just have the Power Stone now. Or how about the Reality Stone, where Rocket literally grabs the stone off screen? No, seriously, the two arrive on Asgard, Thor's an absolute mess, so he just fucks off to have a chat with his mom. Who cares about the mission, am I right? Leaving Rocket to do all the work by himself. By the time we come back to the two, we get this one shot, Rocket ominously holding up the strange device that never got exposition, so the audience doesn't know what the fuck it is. Then it comes to Thor finishing up his chat with his mom, and by the time we return to Rocket, he just got the stone easy peasy. Frigga tells Thor to eat a salad, and then they just leave. And then, even with the other stones, where there does at least seem to be some attempt at conflict, or like any obstacle that our heroes will have to overcome, they're all just like immediately resolved extremely bullshittedly. For example, the Space Stone, where we start off with this elaborate plan that Tony and Scott seem to have formulated, but oh no, it goes wrong when past Hulk bursts out of nowhere and they lose the Tesseract. The only thing they bothered to set up before they started time traveling was that they only have enough pin particles for one round trip each. No room for error, no room for fuck-ups. And now they fucked up. How the hell are they gonna get themselves out of this mess? Yeah, no, Tony just pulls another Deus Ex Machina out of his pants like he did with the time travel thing. For some reason, he just knows the super specific date. Seriously, he gives like an exact date.
078
Where pin particles and the Tesseract just happen to be a couple of meters away from each other in the same place in the past, so they can just easily fix their whole Tesseract gone, no more pin particle problem with one fell swoop. And it's not even like this is somewhere in Tony's own past to happen, which he's now remembering or something. No, the date he picked was literally before he was even born. Seriously, I tried looking up whether there were any theories or conspiracies at all explaining how Tony came up with this, but all I could find was this small blurb saying that a short description of the original script noted that there was supposed to be a single photograph or something on Tony's shelf back in the barn telling us that his dad met Hank Pym once. Except guess what? The scene got cut in the final, so we never even get to see the photo. But like, even if we did, like, really, that's all they had planned. Even if this tiny photograph was kept in the film somehow, I feel like it still wouldn't have been enough to explain how Tony managed to pull 1970 April 7th out of his ass, out of nowhere, that just happens to solve all their problems. And then the two just nonchalantly stroll into a presumably high-security military camp and steal both Tesseract and pin particles with practically no real opposition at all. Steve makes up some scheme to get Hank Pym away from his desk and just takes the particles easy peasy. And over on Tony's side with the Tesseract, he literally just cuts into this military-protected box with his laser fingers, no sirens, no alarms, or anything at all. Tony outs his dad, and that's that. That's how they get the Space Stone. Anyways, moving on to the Time Stone. Banner arrives at the Sanctum Sanctorum and just has a single conversation with the Ancient One, and she just...
Oh, that still hurts.
And the conversation didn't even make any sense. Okay, allow me to go on a bit of a side tangent for a little bit. Like, it's time travel, right? This genre of media usually comes with a plethora of rules for the characters to abide by, and this isn't by accident or anything. The very nature of time travel introduces questions in regards to cause and effect. Chaos theory, the butterfly effect. I'm sure everyone has heard of at least one of these ideas at some point by now. Usually, in the real world, we can only travel forward in time, and we understand how causality works under that logic. I procrastinate on my homework doesn't get done. But when we start introducing going backwards in time, things tend to get a bit weirder. If I procrastinate on my homework and it doesn't get done, and I later regret it, if I had a time machine and go back to then do my homework, then that supposedly would erase the timeline in which I didn't do my homework and wanted to go back in the first place, creating a bunch of paradoxes up the wazoo. So, usually, time travel media will take its time setting up rules for their specific version of time travel. Whether that's everything's fine as long as you avoid yourself, or everything's fine as long as future you time travel as well, doing other things past time travel you did to close the loop, or any amount of other ways smart writers can come up with to wrangle some form of logical consistency that their characters have to operate under. Endgame acknowledges this. Actually, it over-acknowledges this. Multiple scenes throughout the film talk about time travel, once with Tony and Scott in the cabin, then again before they do their first test, but crucially, none of these scenes actually explain how any of the time travel we're dealing with in this movie works. Instead, all it does is debunk stuff other time travel movies came up with and waste their time calling back to the future a bunch of bullshit.
If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future. Exactly.
Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit.
And it's not like the characters don't do anything that would require explaining either. There are multiple scenes where the Avengers fucking around cause quite huge changes to the events of their supposed past. Like Loki stealing the Tesseract at the end of the 2012 New York fight, that's not what happened in the original. Thor telling his mom he's from the future, etc. And perhaps most fuckily, eventually in the film, the Thanos from 2014 catches wind of our present day hero's plan and travels forward in time to 2019, where he then gets defeated by our heroes. Which again, wouldn't make sense under logic. The Abomination himself makes a point to debunk earlier on in the movie.
If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future. Exactly.
Endgame is a bunch of bullshit.
Without properly introduced rules as to what our heroes can or can't do in the past, the audience is left in the dark, unable to fully understand what consequences might exist for our heroes' actions under these fantasy-based scenarios, depriving them of the ability to properly immerse themselves into the story as a result. But, in spite of the fact that the movie itself never defines its own time travel rules, if you do the thing for them, you realize there is actually a version of time travel they can be operating under that would make sense for about 99% of the film. Multiverse time travel, or dimensional time travel, or whatever you want to call it. And time travel is in quotation marks because it isn't really time travel. They aren't going back to their own past, but rather the past of alternate parallel dimensions, completely separate from their own timeline to yoke the stones for themselves and hopefully snap everyone back. With the homework analogy, it'd be the equivalent of realizing I regret not doing my homework right before the teacher asked for it, beaming into a parallel dimension version of my past where I did do the homework, stealing that version's homework, beaming back into my dimension in the present, and presenting it to my teacher so no consequences are suffered. Here, the past is unaffected because it is in my own past that I'm dealing with, and no matter what I do in that universe, it won't matter since they'll just branch off into a new timeline where a weirdo beamed in, stole some homework off some poor girl, forever changing the bond of that class and the trajectory of their lives for all eternity. Back to Endgame. Although it isn't clearly stated anywhere in the text itself, this is the only version of time travel that makes any sort of sense for 99% of what the heroes do in this movie. Except then that completely clashes with any possible reason the Ancient One might have had to ever give the Stone's banner in this conversation. So Hulk shows up in the 2014 New York battle, whatever, right? To get the Time Stone from the Sorcerer Supreme, who he thinks is Doctor Strange, that actually ends up being the Ancient One. He explains to her who he is and why they need the stone, but she explains back to him that if they take the stone from her reality, it'll create a new branch reality of basically super duper bad shit, and she doesn't want that. Hulk's like, don't worry, we're planning on bringing all the stones back right at the moment we took them, so boom, no bad branch reality. And she's like, ah, interesting. Except, what if you die? What if something bad happens and you can't keep your promise? Back to bad branch reality. Banner has no retort to that and gets frustrated being like, well, I don't know, lady, if y'all love the stone so much, why did Strange give it away in Infinity War? And she's like, what? He gave it away? Willingly? Damn, guess I should just also give it away too, then.
It's the duty of the Sorcerer Supreme to protect Time Stone.
But why the hell did Strange give it away?
What did you say?
Strange, he gave it away. He gave it to Thanos.
Willingly?
Yes.
Why?
I have no idea. Maybe he made a mistake.
Right.
What? Why is Stephen Strange from Banner's universe deciding to give his stone away? The thing that convinces the Ancient One of this universe to give Banner her stone. Her reasons for not handing over the stone, I'll remind you, is A, that if their world doesn't have the Time Stone, they're fucked. B, even if Banner says they can get it back to them, she can't trust that.
In order to return the stones, you have to survive.
We will. I will. I promise.
I can't risk this reality on promise.
Both of those still apply with the realization that Stephen from Banner's universe gave the stone away. It doesn't matter if he did the only thing that could possibly save his universe. She now knows about Thanos and can hopefully do things to prevent the same thing happening in her universe. You know, something she would logically do. Again, other time travel movies have rules for a reason, guys. Do not change the past or for fuck with the future. Anyways, so her realizing Banner's situation really sucks shouldn't have had that much of an effect on her. So much so that she, as the Sorcerer Supreme, the Grand Wizard whose main duty is to protect the Time Stone, also just fucking gives it away. I looked around online and it seems like the general consensus is that Doctor Strange is supposed to be like the best Sorcerer Supreme. The best of us. The Ancient One says it a bunch of times. So, when she heard that Doctor Strange really made the decision to give the Time Stone away, like the exact opposite of what the Sorcerer Supreme is supposed to do, she's like, it must have been for a reason, because this man can do no wrong, apparently. Which is Okay.
Piss.
This still doesn't really make any sense. Doctor Strange literally said there was a 1 in 14,605 chance of them getting this right. He may be magic, but he ain't all powerful. So just because Endgame showed us the one reality where the heroes actually do live to give back the time stone, doesn't mean there wasn't literally 14,604 other possibilities where they just fail, which would also doom the Ancient One's universe as well. Bad branch reality. So, if this is truly an alternate, unattached parallel dimension like the rest of the movie can only be, it would be a huge gamble to help someone else out. A gamble that she literally moments before brought up she wasn't willing to make. So, the only possible interpretation we have as to why she does this is that it actually is time travel within the same universe. Again, the movie doesn't define this properly. The directors and the screenwriters literally have opposing theories on their own time travel system.
Right. Now that's our opinion, to be fair. I think Joanne might have a different opinion.
And she's doing this to help her own universe's future. Her timeline being the same as Banner's. Except Ben doesn't correlate with the brain passed down to the future killing thing. That there's a loop. There is no loop. All this movie does is shit on why time travel movies are a bunch of bullshit, and then proceeds to create a movie where time travel is bullshit to join them. Back to part 2.
Time travel.
The entire act 2 of the story, there were only ever 2 stones that felt like there was any real opposition at all to them being taken. I considered not talking about them because, well, one of them I'll be covering extensively in a later section, and the other was such a small part of the heist that it didn't really matter, but in the interest of being fair, I guess I'll touch upon them briefly. The first is the soul stone on Vormir, where it requires a sacrifice of someone you love in order to get it, and who else shows up but 2 best friends who have nothing else to live for. I'll be unpacking the other issues with the scene in a later section, but at least I'll give it to them that there is actually an obstacle that they have to put some sort of effort into in order to get the stone. Then there's Mind Stone that Cap successfully retrieved before he had to go help Tony out with the bullshit past stuff, and this was the only stone that was honestly just like, fine. Pretty good even. The sequence has Cap fighting himself, having to face Hydra to get it, and he gets that iconic elevator scene again, but this time he says, "Hail Hydra," and it's clever. It shows he's really grown as a person, taking a note from Tony's book to just cut the wires instead of trying to fix everything with sheer determination all the time. Then he has a fight with his past self for it, and he's able to use his own weaknesses against himself to get the stone. Honestly, pretty entertaining. Gets a pass from me. But that was it. Just one stone out of the entire 6 that didn't totally suck. A sequence that literally, I shit you not, takes up a cumulative 3 minutes. The fight for the stones in Infinity War was an epic battle between the forces of good and evil, where evil was so intimidating that it actually won. The quest to reverse all that in this movie is a literal shopping trip through a multiverse grocery store, where in order to get the stones, all you have to do is either A, grab it off the shelves with your bare hands, B, grab it off screen, C, ask those with the stones already in their shopping cart next to you and they'll just give it to you apparently, or D, even if you realize you can't get what you're looking for because they stopped selling that item, don't worry, because Tony Stark will just show up at your doorstep with a fucking time machine. Even the gauntlet itself is rendered so trivial compared to what it got in the previous film, and actually sort of nicely summarizes the absolute whiplash you get in terms of gravity, importantness. I'm running out of words to describe good storytelling here between the 2 films. Although it was only a small part of Infinity War, by the time we meet Thanos, he already has it. When Thor arrives and Nidavellir to forge Stormbreaker, we learn that Thanos actually went through quite some trouble to get that gauntlet made. Nidavellir, according to Rocket, is supposedly a legend. A place to go if you want the most powerful, horrific weapons to ever torment the universe. And Thanos not only went there, but held the entire population of 300 dwarfs hostage, all to force one dwarf each to make the gauntlet for him. And even after he'd done what he'd asked, Thanos killed the dwarves anyways, and even malformed Eitre's hands just to prevent him from making any more weapons, saying that they now belong to him. It was a relatively small part of the movie, but it is what led to the entirety of Nidavellir being shut down, and Thor having to endure the heat and force of an entire neutron star to get it back up and running again, risking his life and nearly dying in the process. But guess what? In this movie, Tony just makes it in a single shot, in a montage. Before we know it, the heroes are back in the past, all starry died, like, we did it, until they realize Nat lost the Vormir coin toss I mentioned earlier, and go be sad aesthetically in a pavilion somewhere. Then they move on, make the gauntlet in a montage, argue a bit about who's gonna snap their fingers, they settle on the Abomination because they too wanted to die, just like that, everyone's back. This was Endgame we're talking about here, the continuation to one of the greatest cinematic upsets of the entire decade, the movie that was meant to be the finale that everything Marvel had been working towards since day 1. But everything just ended up being so easily resolved in this film. For our heroes to go through so much, for Infinity War to deliver such high highs and low lows, only to find out that all they had to do was just wait 5 years, a rat will step on a button, and then everything will just kind of work out. It was all just so disappointing. Everything was so Thanos. Sure, getting stones were a breeze, but look, a Morat, future Nebula got caught, and now past Thanos from 2014 is coming to the future to face the Avengers. Is it even worth it? Get my hopes up at this point? Get your hopes up? Waste your fucking time? Let's get on with it. Thanos. While researching for this, one thing the writers had the most problem with was just, what are they gonna do with this interdimensional, all-powerful god? Until eventually they're just like, let's just kill him. Which is like, yay, sure, fine. But the thing is, once you have the Avengers kill what is supposedly the final boss, and try to have a younger version of him as the main antagonist, I mean, it's really quite a hefty blow to the tension there. And it doesn't help either that this movie actively portrays this variant as a version that strips away most, if not all, of the reasons that made him a compelling character in the original. In Infinity War, which, as many people have mentioned, was kind of a Thanos movie, he's not just a random baddie fought to the end. He has an interesting backstory that led to his complex motivation to kill half the universe, to allow the other half to prosper. He wasn't just a one-note, two-dimensional boss fight at the end of a side quest, he was an actual character who believed he was doing the right thing, with an incredibly strong will and conviction towards achieving what he believed was for the betterment of the entire galaxy. He cared about his children, about his daughters. In his mind, he's a total good guy, and even made it a point to tell the heroes that their deaths were nothing personality, even commending a couple of them in their quest to stop him.
You have my respect, Stark. When I'm done, half of humanity will still be alive.
Compare that to our Endgame Thanos.
What I'm about to do to your stubborn, annoying little planet. I'm gonna enjoy it. Very, very much.
What? All that conviction, that good writing of making a complex villain is just shattered by the naivete of the Thanos represented in this movie. And he fails quite a bit. After the portals are open, everything leading up to Tony's final snap is just him desperately trying to claw out the Infinity Gauntlet only to fail again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and, you know. The rich internal story and decision-making that made Thanos a compelling character died with the opening act. And this younger Thanos in comparison is just set up to be a fundamentally less satisfying villain to take down in the end. Kinda like how everything that made Infinity War great was ostensibly gone less than a third way through the film, and the subsequent plot we actually ended up getting was just disappointing compared to the original. But guess what? We're not done yet. Far from it. Sure, Endgame brushed off any of the interesting themes it got from Civil War, trampled on all the intensity of the plot from Infinity War, but guess what? They're still the characters, right? It's practically a fact these days that Marvel is all about their characters, right? And with this being the deathbed to a couple of the founding fathers of the studio as a whole, you'd think they put extra care into giving them proper arcs about this movie, right? Really take the time to give each and every one of these guys proper send-off to the franchise they helped create, right? Right?
Hey.
It also wasn't the point of the movie. The point of the second movie was saying goodbye to the original 6 Avengers, and it was definitely going to be a mic drop for the 6 principal Avengers.
We knew that in wrapping up the story in Avengers Endgame, we were mostly trying to close the narrative of the original Avengers. So those characters were preserved so that they could their final acts could be played out in Endgame.
Wrapping up 21 movies and the 6
21.
Their story arc is coming to completion. As far as who went to dust, everything's always built on the story. And would it say that there's a reason the original 6 Avengers are on?
So it was designed to leave behind the original, because Endgame very much follows their story.
It's It's no revelation at this point that Marvel's all about the Avengers. Marvel knows that these characters are the reason that audiences come back to the theaters again and again, and making an Avengers film without doing the Avengers themselves justice would be going against the entire core of what makes Marvel movies so great in the first place.
You talk to Marvel fans, comic fans, ask them what their best moments, their favorite moments are over the years in comics. You will almost always get a character moment out of them. It very rarely is a pure action / stage moment. There's almost always a character moment. And it's the big action moments that sell the movie, and that's what perhaps gets people in the theater. But it's the character moments that have you go back again, that keeps you going. And that's why we do the Avengers. That's the only reason to do the Avengers.
With that in mind, 3 monumental characters in the MCU canon die throughout the runtime of this movie: Iron Man, Captain America, and Black Widow. Well, Cap doesn't die necessarily; he retires, but like basically the same thing. And as a whole, this movie would be the metaphorical death of the OG Avengers: Tony, Nat, Steve, Thor, Banner, and Bart. The last time we'll ever see the original team that we've been following throughout the MCU for so long working together on the same screen. Marvel knew this. They knew that this was going to be the end of an era going into this movie. So they knew that the biggest challenge, bigger than resolving Infinity War conflict, bigger than hand-waving Civil War themes, the thing that they absolutely had to get right was giving these 6 characters proper arcs for their final moments in the MCU.
You guys have talked about how you needed, how this series, this installment demanded a resolution. Yeah. At least to what we've seen so far through the saga of the MCU, the 21 movies that led up to this. What were the biggest challenges in landing on that resolution you guys ultimately found? It was trying to end the arcs of 6 Avengers, or at least give them really nice concluding moments. And so the hard part is 3 years ago when we're trying to design what the second movie looks like. The idea was always to take people off the board at the end of the first one, leaving, no coincidence, the people that you've known the longest, so that we could give them the biggest arcs.
So why? Joe Russo, Anthony Russo, Christopher Marcus, Stephen McFeely. Please tell me why you decided to give most of these guys straight up just nothing arc-wise in this film? No personal internal decision-making, little to no agency in their actions, with most of them starting out completely fine, and basically remaining that way throughout the entirety of the 3-hour run of the movie. And even for those who did at least get something, like everything else that covered so far, surprise, surprise, it's resolved almost immediately in incredibly bullshit and half-hearted ways, with most of them completely wrapped up and inconsequential by about a third of the way into the film. Anyways, let's just go through each of them, shall we? Let's go through the subplots of each of these 6 OG Avengers whose arcs were apparently the whole point of the film, one by one, and do a deep dive on exactly how Endgame managed to give us one of the worst send-offs to the greatest hero team imaginable. Starting with Hawkeye. Hey, it's the boy! Where were you during Infinity War, man? You just keep on trying to retire, don't you? It's finally all worked out. You got your wife, kids, the big fence. Throughout the MCU, Hawkeye's main shtick has always been just his family. And although he starts off as a superhero, his main ongoing arc is just been trying to retire over and over again in order to spend more time with
Yes,
everyone.
I stopped paying attention for 1 second.
Ultron, the Avengers are introduced to his family, and his wife brings up the fact that they're about to have their 3rd kid, so maybe try to be a bit more careful with the hero stuff. And then again in Civil War, when Cap specifically pulls him out of an already retired state in order to help out with the super soldiers ordeal. And throughout the entirety of Infinity War, he was just gone, presumably finally achieving the peace and quiet life on the farm he'd always wanted with his family. Which is why it was so impactful when Endgame started off with his entire family getting straight up obliterated. Endgame opens on a shot of Hawkeye and his kids having a nice picnic on their farm until one by one each of them fall to dust, and he has absolutely no clue as to what the fuck just happened. This was genuinely an incredibly interesting start to Hawkeye's arc in this movie. An amazing start to the film as a whole, honestly. As someone whose identity had always been more of a civilian,
This family got
Clint and his family reminded the audience that what happened at the end of Infinity War did really happen everywhere else in the universe, properly inserting us back into that tone of despair and desperation that movie left us off with. And Hawkeye himself, well, he had always been a bit of a backgrounded character in the past, his arc consisting mainly of one-note external problems, whether that's getting mind-controlled in the first Avengers or having that weird beef with Quicksilver and Ultron. But here, this movie is starting us off with the one thing he cares most about, the thing he left the superhero life for, that he taken away just like that. And for once, it really seemed like we were finally gonna get something dramatic with him during his final run with the original team. Then, the next time we hear from him is 5 years later, when Nat mentions that Barton seems to be doing some bad stuff, and we're like, ah shit, not a sweet family homebody, what happened? Then boom, the very second scene he's in, we get a small taste of this cool Japanese setting, and without the subtitles it's kinda hard to understand, but you get the gist that he's been killing people with the katana, the arrow guy, and he has a mohawk now? Wait, this is not and he kills a dude, and Nat is there to put him back into the Avengers, and they sort of have a bit of a talk in the ring. From the dialogue, we get that he's given up hope in this world, but Nat's here to give him hope again. There might be a way to get his family back, and he agrees to join back to the game. That's it. That's his entire arc in this film. His other scenes, the emotional reunion when they test the time machine, the funny quips with the other characters, none of it will actually put him in any sort of internal conflict or spark any internal journey for the audience to follow for the rest of the movie. Bro, really? That's it? Like, I get it. Hawkeye's kind of the least important Avenger. I understand that in a film with such little story real estate, you can't make anything too complicated. But seriously, that's it. Just one scene at the beginning of the film where they set up his family getting snapped away, and by literally the second time we see him ever, he's already resolved all of the angst and drama that came with that ordeal with a simple chat with Natasha in the rain. That's that. And sure, maybe it would have been too much to ask for them to spend too long a time diving deep into the trauma of having your entire family taken away. But come on, couldn't they at least, I don't know, pace it properly? Like, the first Avengers, his arc was pretty goddamn simple as well. He was just under mind control. Loki puts him under a spell during the opening scene of the film until Black Widow knocks him back to his senses 2/3 of the way in. That's it. But at least they kept him under mind control for what was essentially most of the runtime, which kept him not only as a threat, but also as a conduit for Black Widow's arc to bring him back to his senses. And only when everyone else's arc was also getting wrapped up right before the final fight, at the end of Act 2, did he get the chance to snap out of it. Doing so creates momentum, making it so that every time we cut to any of the characters, there's established tension, on top of established tension, on top of established tension, you get the point. And, most importantly, none of it gets resolved until the very end, typically a huge satisfying action sequence. Because, as Marvel has preached over and over again, these characters and their internal journeys are the ancient thing the audience is actively invested in. But nope, Endgame just throws all that out the window by having his entire arc take place across the literal first 2 scenes he has in the film, resolving any internal tension before the story could explore anything actually interesting with it. Fine. I get it. There's a million other things to focus on, so if you're gonna cut some corners, I guess Hawkeye can take the hit. At least we're getting more of him in the future with series like Hawkeye, or the next Endgame, Kang, what was it again? Like Secret Wars or whatever. Just, you know, still hang with the gang. It's not like he's dead or anything.
No.
Black Widow, how unfortunate. And the movie sucked. Oh
In
god.
this movie, Black Widow, a character that the audience has grown to love so much they practically forced Marvel to give her own movie. This is the end of her character. You can't just barn your way out of this one and give her a piss script to sit in the corner anymore. This one needs a satisfying conclusion, where you're being irresponsible with the expectation and attachment you've nurtured in the audience for so long. So what does Endgame do? Reduce her entire arc to a 5-minute scene that we can eat themselves off a cliff the best. Okay. So, what is Natasha's arc in this film? It's just dying. Her major conflict in this film is just that she needs to die in order to get the Soul Stone, an arc that begins 2/3 into the movie and concludes 5 minutes later. Let's dissect this, shall we? In Infinity War, Vormir was Gamora's arc, and it was set up and executed very well. We first learned that she's the only one who knows what the Soul Stone is, but she tells Peter to promise to kill her if Thanos were ever to get his hands on her, setting off not only her storyline, but Star-Lord's as well. And we all know how that ended. Through the arc, we get to explore Thanos and Gamora's relationship to each other, and the Soul Stone, being the one stone yet to be seen throughout the entire Marvel filmography, is the only one that is properly hidden from Thanos, and it is what Thanos spends the most time actively procuring, the thing that is ever even considered an obstacle to him. Then, when they finally figure out where it is, the knife twists again. After just exploring this complex relationship he has with his daughter, he's told he has to sacrifice her for the stone. On his side, it is a tragic loss. On Gamora's side, it is a cruel twist of fate, that the one thing she wants to prevent her abusive father from acquiring, her existence allows him to acquire it. Gamora dies in Infinity War similar to Black Widow, but her arc was so much more than that. It was a conduit to learning about her past and testing the bond she had with those closest to her. The arc begins early on in the movie and is one of the direct conflicts we follow throughout, ending heart-wrenchingly at the end of Act 2, directly leading us into that final battle on Titan and Wakanda. But what about Endgame? The fact that someone has to die is not mentioned at all until Red Skull tells them on Vormir. And you're like, oh shit, right, someone has to die. Sure, being a sequel to Infinity War, you should already know this fact as an audience, but the important part is that none of the characters know. And because none of the characters know, it isn't present at all as a diegetic conflict in the film until literally like an hour and 48 minutes in. And because there was literally no build-up given to Widow's death scene at all, what we end up getting is just an incredibly generic 5 minutes for Nat and Bart arrive on Vormir, realize, oh shit, someone has to die, then go, wait, you're not just gonna stand by and let me kill myself for you? Which again, is like another Adoy, like these two are not only heroes but best friends. Obviously they were going to sacrifice themselves for one another. So, after that takes like way more time than it should have. They just play a game of who can eat themselves off the side of the cliff the best. The Widow wins and dies. And Jesus Christ, the fight choreography. What is this? What is going on? Why was the little scuffle on the bridge in the first Avengers better than the literal final fight of their lives? Throughout the entire sequence, the story tries to how bland this entire ordeal was by getting really loud and telling you, hey, this is sad. Do you feel sad yet? Look at all this slow motion. That means it's important, right? Death is pretty sad, isn't it? But it's just not enough to save it from feeling incredibly empty. These were Black Widow's final moments. The badass that literally tricked the god of trickery in the first Avengers, the one who turned the tide with that honestly hilarious sequence in Civil War. There was even an entire sub-arc of her romance with Bruce that was just completely unresolved. No internal struggle, no narrative. Literally all she gets in this movie is just go, ah shit, I need to die. Dies. But you know what the worst part is? The worst part is her having to sacrifice herself with the Soul Stone on paper is actually a perfect conclusion to Widow's arc across the MCU. Her main thing was just having this dark and gritty past, being raised from childhood as a mindless assassin, only getting out of it when a Barton that was sent on behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D. to kill her decided to recruit her instead. And ever since then, everything she's done, everything she's been doing, has all been tokens towards the need to atone for her sins. So the Soul Stone drop was directly her perfect chance to potentially do just that. By sacrificing herself to save literally half of all lives in the entire universe, she actually had the chance to wipe her ledger free from all of that blood in her past.
I've been streaming every day now, every day. Sometimes I'm just kind of bored like this, where like no one's here, or no one's here to talk to, no one's in the chat to talk to. But you know, it is what it is. I've actually been quite enjoying streaming, honestly.
Imagine if Natasha finds out someone has to die from Nebula during the planning phase, but keeps it from the others, tricking everyone to let her be on the team that goes to Vormir. Now you have tension every time she comes back to Nat on the journey, even having her lives the only family she's ever had just to save them from this fate she's put herself on. And you can even have the Bart and Nat face off if he also finds out, but similar to Nat, doesn't want the rest of the group coming, so he secretly puts himself on the team as well. Nat opposes this, but Barton's insistence tells her he knows, and he's not letting Nat be the hero that easily. In order not to drag anyone else into the ring, they don't make a fuss, keeping on an innocent facade, capitalizing on their identities as the only two spies on the team, until they break off from the others, and the spaceship, the tension is broken when Nat reveals she knows Barton knows. And Barton says that's not gonna stop him. Before they know it, the two arrive at the top of the Vormir drop, but it's called pleasantries left behind because they already know what's at stake. This is it. Completely wordless, we get a proper final showdown between the two, going full out against each other, fighting seriously for the first time until Nat wins and Barton gets a Soul Stone. Like honestly, this isn't much different, but at least it's something that isn't set up and immediately resolved in the same scene. Instead of the juicy, drama-filled depth that Widow's death could have been, all we get is literally a single sequence. After all the other stones had little to no consequences standing in their way, this one is suddenly like, look, one of your favorite heroes in the MCU is going to die now, and before you even process that information, she's just there, at the bottom of the Vormir drop, gone forever. And they finally give us that Black Widow movie we've been waiting for, and it comes out after she dies, and it's not bring her back to life or anything, it's just a prequel, like automatically you know nothing in this film amounts to anything anymore, and it's not even like a proper prequel where we get her hero origin story. That actually would have been kind of cool, but no, it's just like a random side quest she had in 2016 meant to introduce Yelena into the MCU. Just like, what the hell, man? What a monkey's paw way of fulfilling that request, goddamn. You know who else dies in this movie? Tony Stark. Tony Stark. He jump started this whole shebang. Stark. Let's see what he gets in this film, shall we? So what's significant about Tony is that his character development throughout the films had always been directly tied to the main conflict of Infinity War. In 2012, with the black and unnecessary note from the government, Tony took on the job of sending through the wormhole, and that little moment where he saw the vastness of space, the daunting enemy ship, and was forced to accept his very real chance of dying, that moment stayed with him. It caused him to have panic attacks in Iron Man 3, the fed his fear of the unknown, pushing him to create a suit of armor around the world, fucking it up and creating Ultron and Age of Ultron, and it drove a sense of responsibility in Civil War, to be on the side to sign the Accords. This guy was on the side of complying with the law just to keep the Avengers together, to make sure that if and when an insurmountable threat came knocking again, they'd be ready. And this journey can be traced all the way back to that first battle in New York, a battle that neither he nor the audience knew at the time was Thanos, on his conquest of looking for the Infinity Stones all the way back in 2012. In Ultron, when Scarlet Witch uses her ambiguous mind powers to make everyone's worst fear come to life, you know the others, they all have their personal stuff, like Cap goes back to the past where everyone's all dead, Nat goes back to the Red Room, but then there's Tony, and we get to see that while everyone's got their own individual demons, the single thing that Tony's most afraid of is the idea of all his friends dying, out in space, and worst of all, it being his fault. Then, in Infinity War, we get the ultimate climax. Tony's worst fears have actually come true. His old friends are gone, his new friends are gone, his surrogate son dies in his arms, and to his horror, it was all because of him. Because Doctor Strange made the choice of his life over the time stone, his life over half of the entire population of the universe. And when even Strange gets snapped away, Tony is left alone, on Titan, no friends left, no plan, millions if not billions of miles away from home. What does he do now? Fuck it, let's just have him play a middle school game with this new girl and whoop. Oh, and by the way, in the scene, Tony's literally like, yeah, basically the oxygen's gonna run out tomorrow or something, so guess I'll die. And he's like almost fine with that. Here's the man who, after getting the slightest glimpses of the big bad world out there, became paranoid enough to create an Avengers level threat, and now the magnitude is pumped up 10 million fold. His freedom just doesn't react at all. Okay, I just have to be like, I am no director. This might very well be a possible direction for a character to go. Maybe this is just how he copes with situations like this, except it's not history we're shown. And maybe he's actually super broken on the inside. Well, fuck. Let's look at what his arc is like for the rest of the movie, shall we? When Tony's back, we get a super interesting scene where he's calling Cap out on his mistakes, and you can not only physically see that he's broken, but also mentally just unstable, and his quips are dark, and the integrity of the team is being challenged straight off the bat.
Alrighty.
Then boom.
Start saving up some money.
Tony is fine. Tony is fine for basically the entire rest of the movie. He never ever once gets another scene where he brings up anything from the everyone's dead because of a him thing. You know, the thing he's literally been worried about for almost the entirety of the MCU? No, Tony's a family man now, and everything's all more good now. He's still making suits, but apparently just for fun now, because guess what? He isn't even a superhero anymore. He's just fine. So what now then? If not the payoff to literally something that 10 years worth of movies have been building him up towards, what arc does he get in Endgame?
Mommy told me to come and save you. Good job. I'm saved.
That's right, the Zark in this movie is just Tony's got a daughter now, and time travel is dangerous. So, what? Saving half of the entire galaxy, bringing everyone back, you know, being responsible about the whole Doctor Strange hinted that he's kind of at the center of this thing? Nah, he ain't doing it. And like,
The primary monkey.
But without even talking about the arc itself, the thing is, this whole new arc of not wanting to leave his daughter, this version of him as a retired dad, this is a very, very different Tony from the one we've been following for the past 21 movies. Part of the fun of the Marvel franchise is getting to see the characters grow bit by bit and being along the way for every step of that journey. What the 5-year time skip did was rob us of that continuity and create a subtle but definitely present sense of disconnect with these heroes that we used to think we knew. Sure, maybe I don't need to be in the stall every time Tony takes a shit, but at least show me the part where he makes the decision to quit being a superhero and settle down with Pepper and have a kid and becomes a dad, right? And because Morgan, however cute she is, and she is just fucking adorable, is new to the audience because we never got to see this change actually happen to Tony, the threat of it being taken away is foreign. The sadness of Tony losing his daughter at the end of the snap is only sad as a concept. I mean, we've only really seen him interact with her in like 3 scenes. So all we're left with is just a generic hero self-sacrifice, which, I mean, on a character level, he's been willing to put his life on the line before many, many times. So really, all we're left with is the meta idea of, fuck, Tony's dead, but we're never gonna get another movie with this version of Tony anymore. And then, like, even with this daughter arc, all the movie does is have him accidentally bump into a photo of Peter Parker and then maybe a bit of a pep talk, and then suddenly Morgana doesn't even matter anymore. No, seriously, on top of everything else this movie failed to deliver on, this is the end of his big emotional conflict. After firmly telling his old friends that no Suri Bob will not be helping to bring back literally half of all life in the universe, later that very night, he's washing the dishes.
All
Oh
right,
no, he's got so much at
perfect.
washing the dishes that he gives a hidden photo of Peter Parker a bath and goes, that firm stance I made literally this morning, maybe it wasn't all that firm after all. Maybe I should try at least a little bit before completely abandoning the chance to bring back my surrogate son that died in my arms. And good thing he did too, because what do you know? Time travel's fucking easy. But oh no, my daughter is just so cute. Like, fuck, man, did you hear that? She loves me 3,000. Isn't it cute how she thinks that's a really, really big number? Anyways, I'm gonna talk to Pepper about this. And by talking to Pepper, I mean basically revealed that, yeah, no, there was no way I was actually not gonna do this thing, and that deep down I had already made up my mind about putting back in the team. So, yep. Handshake emoji. Handshake fucking. For the Infinity Saga to put in so much work, so much effort into creating this narrative of Tony as a guy with the weight of the world on his shoulders, only to have Endgame completely ignore the thing, then introduce an out-of-nowhere arc about leaving his daughter,
Perfect.
only to then have the
Doing
resolution of that
great.
be ostensibly just remembering that Peter Parker was a character once. It's just like, come on, guys, what are you doing? After all, the only thing that comes even close to being anything meaningful towards his arc in the film after this moment is the meeting Howard Stark scene, where he talks to his old pop and is like, hey, I forgive you. But like, he already made the decision to go on this dangerous mission an hour ago. In fact, in this scene, he's the one coaching his dad, so it basically just reinforces the fact that Tony is fine, and the whole leaving his daughter behind thing really isn't that much of an issue for him. Moving on, Captain America. So Cap's actually pretty interesting because his character arcs are usually very stagnant. In the first Avengers, Steve already knows who he is and what he wants. He's an upstart good guy who always tries to do the right thing. The only flaw is his physical, but that gets fixed relatively quickly. When he finds out S.H.I.E.L.D. has been compromised and Winter Soldier, it's figuring out who the real enemy is that's the main conflict, never anything internal. Whenever decisions have to be made, S.H.I.E.L.D., Bucky, Steve's always confident when doing the right thing is. But that's the thing. He always tries to do the right thing, even in situations where it would be naive to do so. In Civil War, he refuses to budge in his no cooperating with the government stance, resulting in the team being torn apart by the end of it, leading into Infinity War, where he continues to avoid compromise when he refuses to trade Vision's life. The easy, less risky way of solving their problem, instead, getting in an ideal situation where everyone's safe. Then, for the first time, it doesn't work. Infinity War leaves us with this amazing wrench in Steve's happy-go-lucky attitude. If any arc at all, his could be having to meet the ruthless world he lives in halfway, compromising on his morals and coming to terms with the fact that, for the first time, his risk-taking has done so much more harm than good. So, what does that game do?
You know, I saw a pot of whales not from the bridge.
In Hudson.
Few ships, greener water.
You know, if you're about to tell me to look on the bright side, I'm about to hit you in the head with a peanut butter sandwich.
Yep, that's right. Cap is pretty much totally fine. From the very beginning of the film, all the way to the end. There's a bit of a thing where 5 years after the snap, he's still having trouble moving on, but there's really not much of a resolution to this. They just figure out a way to get everyone back, and that's just that. There's no longer any reason for him to move on. And then he goes on to barely make a single defining character decision in this entire movie. No discernible arc or pinpointable conflict aside from just the umbrella plot of we gotta get everyone back. Oh, and then he just retires. At the very end. Out of nowhere. Okay? What? After the final battle, after Tony's funeral, after the movie's basically already over, we end with a bit of a tying up loose end scene where Steve goes back in time once more to hopefully somehow return all the stones and pass Lord's hammer to not fuck up the timeline. You know, Bad Branch rally and whatnot. But then, when it's time for him to come back, it's revealed that no, he isn't coming back. Apparently, he liked the past so much that he just decided to stay there, leaving his responsibilities as Captain America behind. A decision that's so incredibly against what we've known about his character so far, and now he's just gone? Well, I guess he did have an arc after all. It just happened, there. You see it? That empty space where seasons worth of character development is? They're just, you know, non-existing. Except literally Bucky seems to have been in on this decision, I think. So maybe this was something Steve methodically planned before stepping into the machine, but I guess him deciding to retire wasn't important enough to show or set up, like, at all. After all, throughout the entire film, the only hint we ever get that this would be the direction he goes in was him staring at Peggy when he goes back in time. All we get is a minute-long scene of Cap accidentally going into a room, looking at a picture of his weirdo baby self, then silently stalking his past love as Alan Silvestri's score plays in the background, telling the audience that Steve is sad. Like, Cap staring at Peggy through the glass tells us absolutely nothing besides the fact that Steve misses his past. A message that we already got through numerous other sequences in previous films, and not at all enough to justify the colossal character shift he makes at the end of the movie. This was Steve Rogers we're talking about here, not Hawkeye constantly trying to retire from his family, not Tony constantly doing whatever he wants whenever he wants. This was Captain fucking America. His whole shtick is like being the responsible soldier, the immovable good in the forces of unstoppable evil. His catchphrase is literally, I can do this all day. For him to go from I can do this all day to suddenly I'm never gonna do this ever again with absolutely no setup to it at all, when this movie literally had 3 hours and a very good reason to finally have him go through the character arc necessary to organically build to that point, it just, why? Why do they keep doing this? Cap is never coming back. At least with Tony, we got a fake arc about him leaving behind a daughter or something. But no, Steve just ups and pieces out with no warning, and the audience just has to accept it. The Cap we love and have followed through 5 movies now is never gonna take part in any more new events in this entire cinematic universe, and just, dang, I kinda hope I get to, I don't know, see his journey towards that decision throughout the 3-hour movie I was watching, instead of, I don't know, another movie happening while I wasn't looking. 4. Unlike everyone else that I've covered so far, Thor actually gets a proper arc in this film. Except it ends up being so poorly executed that although he doesn't die at the end of this movie, everyone ends up wishing he had. Aww. First off, Thor's introduced as this absolute mess of a guy, and guess what? I'm fine with this. It makes sense. He has arguably gone through much more trauma than the rest of the team, and you can tell he's coping by drowning himself quadruple chin deep in a vat of cheese living denial. Like seriously, Ragnarok took away his dad, his hammer, his homeland, his sister, which sure, she was evil, but that hasn't really stopped him from loving his siblings before. Then right after learning the lesson that Asgard is people out of place. Infinity War kills his people, and his best friend, and finally his brother, but like, you know, for good this time. It's literally gotten to a point where he himself has made multiple jokes about just how much he's had to go through within this short period of time.
And you said your sister and your dad both dead, but still got a mom though?
Killed by Duncan.
A best friend?
Still too long.
This Thanos we're talking about, he's the toughest there is.
Well, he's never fought me.
Yeah, he has.
He's never fought me twice.
The creators mentioned multiple times that if Thor had succeeded in going to the head in Infinity War, it would have been Thor's movie, because while everyone else was on a path to protect and defend, Thor was actively on a path of vengeance. Throughout Infinity War, he's joking, yes, but there's a cold air about him, a deep pain that he channels towards the mission of creating Stormbreaker and killing Thanos.
Level 55, let's go.
He chokes, failing not only in terms of his revenge, but also in preventing even more loss of life across the 9 realms that he was supposed to protect. So, I mean, can you really blame the guy for wanting to shut away the rest of the world and just disappear? I love where Thor starts off in this movie. This more intense portrayal of despair and denial, none of your Steve Rogers puppy dog bullshit. We actually get to see the gravity of what happened, of Thanos that's etched its way into Thor's heart, that even mentioning his name will send him spiraling into a panic attack. This is good setup for his arc of processing his grief. A breath of fresh air, honestly. You can show none of the other characters actually grieving for the deaths of half of all their friends. The next scene he's in, he's being made fun of. Not by the team or anything. He's being made fun of by the movie. See, the people aren't outright laughing at him. The comedy lies in how the scene turns into a cliche, where Thor plays the role of that one friend who peaked in high school, now he's stuck on the good old days while they drink their way to stagnancy, and the rest of the Avengers, they don't help him. No, they don't even chastise him. They play the role of the awkward dinner guest at a party who just want to get on with the program. Thor being framed like this actively pushes us away from any empathy we might have had with this character. You're instead told he is an outsider, meant to be mocked and never taken seriously. But again, being at the beginning of the film, showing you just how far away this character we love so much had fallen is potentially great for his arc going forward, so that when we see him finally get back onto his feet, it'll only be all the more triumphant. Potentially. When next we see him, he's with Rocket getting reality stone, and he's still in denial about everything and tries to run away and has a panic attack, because of course, he hasn't gone through any growth yet. And there tries to be this serious moment where Rocket slaps him and gives him a pep talk, but like what happened before, the scene is a joke. Another cookie cutter setup where the music swells and the audience is led to believe that Thor might have learned his lesson, and he's going, I can do this, I can't do this, and runs away. And Rocket is like, God, he's pathetic, and the audience is like, God, he's pathetic. And the thing is, this is still fun. Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, has been known to be a master of this comedy tragedy tone thing, and this could be a callback to his directing style while still being sad. And that's honestly really cool. But it only works as setup, and setup only works if there's good payoff. And what payoff do we get? Thor meets his mom, as a child they're off screen, gets his hammer, and leaves because Rocket did all the work for him. What the fuck? The movie is telling us this is how he gets over all his grief and denial and panic attacks, and he's just good to fight now. His mom, a character from a movie that was once regarded as one of the worst Marvel movies, who only appeared briefly because she dies halfway, which, by the way, Thor wasn't even shown to have been that sad about, it was actually Loki who was more affected. Thor moves on pretty quick. Has a talk off screen. Like, does anyone even need me to explain how wrong this is? Like, I don't need to explain how wrong this is, right?
Yeah, they should have done it on screen. I actually, even though we didn't get much, I did like it. I just wish we had gotten more. I like Thor's mom.
Grief is a serious thing to deal with, and sure, it's a Marvel film, and it's meant to be mostly lighthearted fun, but with so much amazing setup for this arc of processing grief, you'd think they'd do a better job of handling its fallout. Okay, spoilers for Wakanda Forever, but if you want to see a movie that handles grief beautifully, just look at that movie. And what would you know? We also get a little intimate chat between our main character and their mother about moving on, and guess what? Shuri directly combats this as anything that would be enough to fill the hole her brother left in her heart a year after his death. And that talk was even on screen, and like, written well. Very well. None of this fucking eat a salad bullshit. And then they have Mjolnir fly back into his sweaty hands and like,
eat a salad.
A whole new level of Mjolnir showing. Because Mjolnir, again, for those of you who don't know, can only be wielded by those who are worthy. And in the past, there's been moments of conflict where Thor found himself unworthy, and Mjolnir would have returned from Mjolnir. Then he does some bullshit and feels worthy again, yada yada yada. We get a cool moment where Mjolnir returns to him. Then in Age of Ultron, they do a really cool thing. Near the beginning, they have a chillax Avengers party scene where, as Thor's would, they challenge each other to lift the hammer and obviously fail. The others call bullshit, but Thor just says, I know the answer. Maybe you're just all not worthy. And it's a scene that works very well on its own. It's fun. You get to see the characters' different ways of tackling the Mjolnir problem. But more importantly, later on, when the Avengers are divided over Tony Stark's actions with the Ultron project, when he starts advocating for Murderbot 2.0, everyone is understandably sus until it's an immediate shortcut to getting our characters to really trust this new guy. And it works really well too, because not only was the symbol of worthiness established the characters early on in the movie, but it had also wrapped up proper narrative weight with the audience through years of good storytelling. So, effectively, in this scene, Mjolnir coming back to Thor symbolizes that Thor is now worthy. And even Thor is like, yes, I'm worthy. I'm not an alcoholic deadbeat drunk. Except not only is the turning point not communicated well, he continues to be a deadbeat, useless piece of immature shit. Like, this is supposed to represent the end of his arc, right? Because nothing else happens to challenge his patheticness before they fight Thanos. This is supposed to be all good and done and dark now, right? This is it, guys. Except in every scene he's in afterwards leading up to the big fight, he's still an absolute mess. In the Black Widow grieving by the lake party scene, he's still an outsider. Still framed as immature to the implications of everything, insisting that the stones can bring him back in that same way Hemsworth acts. He's still played as floating through life, unable to understand things, not on the same page, even up to the point of who's gonna snap the finger thing. Really still making cheese with jokes. He is still unself-aware, jumping to conclusions. I have no reason to believe that this is a Thor who is any different from Infinity War Thor, still going for the heart instead of the head and ruining everything. And guess what? This film even slams that final nail right into the coffin by making him give up his throne at the end of the movie, which is honestly a perfect embodiment of just how much this film destroyed his character as a whole. Like, ever since his first appearance on the big screen, Thor's big thing was just being worried that he wouldn't live up to the expectations that were put on him as heir to the ruler of Asgard, that he wouldn't be worthy. But by the end of Ragnarok, he was actually kind of maybe learning to finally take on his role as king. His father had just died, officially passing him the title, and he fumbled a couple things, sure, but he was learning. He finally learned how to deal with Loki. He learned that Asgard was a people and not a place. And at the end of that film, when he lost his eye and sat on that throne, it really felt like he was finally starting to resemble his father, finally starting to resemble the role that he was always born to be. But then Endgame just turns him into a fart joke for the entirety of the movie, gives back his eye, and then says, nah, the throne? These people that his family have been responsible for protecting his generations, the ones he failed to protect when they needed him most? Nah, fuck him. His mom told him to just be himself, so he's just gonna fuck off the Guardians now and push the responsibility of Asgard onto one of the other people Asgard failed so horribly in the past. Yep, that's what all this pondering about whether he was worthy or not was all leading up to. Also, like, I skipped over this a bit for pacing earlier, but seriously, what even was that advice Thor's mom gave?
Idiot now. A failure? Absolutely. And you know what that means? Just like everyone else.
Like, what? Thor cuts it out with a joke in the middle so you don't really notice it, but like, did Frigga really just call all of us failures? You're not an idiot, you're a failure, but that just makes you like everyone else. Yeah, no, she literally just called all of us failures. I mean, she's not wrong, but like, Tony spelled it out so clearly, jeez. And Thor's response is like, dude, chill out with the royal high horse there, will ya? I'm not the one threatening 9-year-old new masters on Fortnite with ripping their arms off and shoving them up their butts, okay? Chill.
Perfect.
Yeah, somehow Mjolnir returns to his hand, and the audience is told this guy's worthy. Not through the usual lazy method of narration, but through the new Marvel language of symbols that had so carefully crafted. A symbol that made sense and was useful in getting everyone to accept vision, completely disrespected. And in reality, he never actually got fixed as a character. The audience is just shown him being competent right after being completely incompetent, blowing braids his beard a little bit, and that's that. Thor's just kind of broken now. And that's really sad considering he was just beginning to dig his way out of being Marvel's unloved son into the only character out of the big three still alive to carry us into the next phase. And we all know how well that's going. Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Perfect.
Oh boy. Professor Hulk sucks. Not only does he have no arc in the story, first meeting of him he's fine, second meeting of him he's giving Thor a pep talk, getting the stone, all he does is talk with the ancient one a bit, bada bing bada boom, done. All the way until he throws one chair into a lake because the love of his life died. Like seriously, that's the only time we see him in any sort of conflict. Like anyone miss it? Here, I'll rewind for you. This is it. And then boom, he's back to good old Dream Daddy Professor Hulk again, trying to be all cool like, huh, it's like it was made for this. But the worst thing is, not only does the character have no arc, he actively robs the audience of an ongoing arc. The fundamental conflict between Banner and the Hulk, an ideological crisis that Stan Lee himself stated was inspired by Jekyll and Hyde, who last we saw them were still actively going through the most interesting development of their entire storyline. Let me remind you of what the core of the Hulk/Banner character is supposed to be. It's two souls fighting for the same body, who hate each other at first, but then grows to not only accept but realize they need one another, and then maybe they confuse. And last we left off in this arc was at the worst point. In Thor Ragnarok, the Hulk is fully sentient. He's not a horrible no-fake monster anymore. He actively is invested in being in charge of his body. You get to see him making decisions like wanting to stay in his car or caring for Natasha, and actively rejecting Banner taking control because he just wants to live. And Banner in Infinity War realizes that he actually needs the Hulk, but the Hulk refuses to come out. And this is everything Banner had always wanted.
Perfect.
And now lives are being lost as a result of their failed relationship. This is the lowest low point of the story. The audience is definitely interested at the impact this will have on both of them and how they're gonna progress as people after this. Then Endgame's like, fuck it, let's just do it off screen. Like, God, when I saw Professor Hulk, I was just thinking like, what the fuck is this? What is this? I hate it, it's so weird. And sure, that's due to the weird CG baby between the Hulk and Mark Ruffalo, but also he just doesn't fit into the narrative. Seriously, I cannot overstate how wrong this feels. Sorry people who haven't seen Steven Universe, but this is like if we started off with a story about Ruby and Sapphire, and they still don't know each other yet, but as time goes on, they get a romance story, and at their lowest point where everything is lost and they hate each other because of a dumb misunderstanding, and the audience is on the edge of their seats like, how is this gonna resolve? Are they gonna get back together? Is this the end of their relationship? Then we come to the next episode, and they're Garnet. Except it isn't Garnet, it's Shrek. Professor Hulk feels like if Ruby and Sapphire fused and became Shrek, and they're never confusing, and you're never getting your beloved characters ever again, and you'll never know how they overcame their differences and realize their love for each other because there is only Shrek now. And once again, similar to Widow, the worst part of all of this is that I feel like there was all the potential in this. If only you had shown his gradual progression towards reconciling his two sides, given him a proper ending to his decade-long arc of going from exposed nerve to terrible privilege.
Terrible privilege. But you can control it. Exactly.
If only they had taken the time to actually set up the emotional through line and let Banner finally accept his other half, it could have been really, really cool. There was something to this Dream Daddy line.
It's like, I was made for this.
This idea that the Hulk was the only one possibly capable of using the gauntlet without dying. Maybe he was made for this. Maybe Banner could have made him for this. How epic would it have been if who sacrifices themselves to be the one to snap their fingers was set up as a point of tension in the beginning? Banner, not Professor Hulk, Banner, perhaps the last time he will be Banner from here on out, he hears that the radiation is mostly gamma, and he just gets this look. Doesn't say anything. Infinity War showed him how powerless he is without the Hulk. These past 5 years, he's had to live with the devastation of their failure. A failure that perhaps he could have prevented if only he knew how to use the Hulk for good, how to control it. And once they retrieve the stones and return to the present, they learn of Natasha's death. He learns of Natasha's death. And all of a sudden, the idea of someone having to sacrifice themselves to snap their fingers becomes so much more real. Everyone starts arguing. The team is thrown into chaos until out steps Professor Hulk, because that was the only way to get the Hulk to come back out, to merge the two into one being, to prevent another one of Banner's friends dying by sacrificing who he was, who the Hulk was, and becoming this new thing, a combination of the two, because he was made for this, because it is and always has been a terrible privilege. But instead of that, it's just Shrek. He's just Shrek now. There's only Shrek now. Shrek is love. Shrek is
told me.
there you have it. The original 6, finest hour of their
Alright,
lives.
we got the thingamajig now.
Don't let it fool you. Marvel only presented something that killed off only half of Marvel of the original 6, but in reality, everyone's dead. Tony's dead, Cap's dead, Matt's dead, Barnes whatever, Thor's a baby, and Hulk/Banner doesn't exist anymore. With this final hurrah to the original team that served it all, they had many opportunities.
Feeling flamed. Feeling flamed.
Nope, they decided to give everyone a time skip that skipped over practically all the interesting stuff, only to continue to give them basically nothing for the rest of the movie,
Alright.
and killing them off one by one by the end of it. And sure, people are like, oh, but I never liked those guys anyways. I like Nebula, or Rocket, or Ant-Man, or fine, here, I'll speak on the rock right now. War Machine and Rocket basically get no arc. They've got a single independent thought this entire film. Nebula just MacGuffin to bring Thanos into the spotlight. She gets a bit of a moment having to confront her past of being a toxic mentality. But instead of doing something interesting like, I don't know, literally extending a handheld her own past in the present, no, instead of that, she just shoots her. Sure, she got a second chance. She learned to move past her mistakes, but guess what? The execs up top really don't want to deal with the weird situation of having two Nebulas down and about. So bam, redemption arc denied. And all Ant-Man does is bring the plan to the gang at the beginning of the movie. Actually, in regards to his contribution, he and Rat are pretty equal. Actually, the Rat might outdo him a little bit. Maybe they should be a new film. But the Rat, call it Rat. Man, and God, I'm going crazy, aren't I? I'm never gonna recover from making this fucking video. I said, part 4, conclusion. So yeah, that was basically it. So many things, interesting concepts, endearing characters, captivating storylines, and Endgame basically slaughtered all of it. Like seriously, I can't overstate how truly amazing I feel with the feat they managed to accomplish with everything leading up to this film. The idea of the cinematic universe has kind of been poisoned nowadays, with other franchises trying to hop on the bandwagon, incorporating them left and right just to stuff their IPs in your face, without understanding what makes them so great. With Marvel, the cinematic universe meant the creation of a solid feeling world, with real locations and characters to escape into, to believe in. It meant continuity, this undercurrent of Thanos slowly emerging from the fog, perfectly hidden in the background of other standalone movies without intruding on their storylines, until finally exploding into the foreground with Infinity War, telling us that all these individual elements, these locations, these stones, these characters, these stories, the thing that they were all building up to was finally here, and boy was he a force to be reckoned with. And fucking, they just get rid of him. And then the climactic movie pretty much not about Thanos at all. Just this last minute swoop into this out of nowhere time stamp paired with this out of nowhere time
Saboteur.
tension, and then it was just over. What was meant to be the culmination of one of the most sincere and heartwarming superhero stories that come out of the 21st century, somehow the sequel, or even the threequel depending on who you ask, to one of the most well-constructed, well-characterized, fun adventures into the Marvel universe there was, ended up being just so completely devoid of any heart, or even real obstacle, honestly. There was a plot, sure. The hero needed to fix what Thanos broke in the previous film, collect the stones from the past and snap their fingers in the present. But there was no story being told, of any character overcoming anything internal throughout that process, of any grander theme being explored that would give this film any meaning. Marvel's other installments, as much of a spectacle fest as they were, still had meaningful ideas at the center of them. Civil War, exploring the genuinely difficult question of how to deal with the realities of casualties within a line of work. Even Infinity War, by having scenes like Steve refusing to trade lives with Vision, Gamora asking Peter to promise to kill her if Thanos ever got to her, by having this undercurrent of characters forced to sacrifice their loved ones for the greater good, and showing how each of them fails in some way, and for the one to come out on top be our villain, the only character who didn't falter when faced with the same decision, the movie actually said something interesting about the inherent sacrifice built into getting the happy endings you want, whether that's heroes saving the day, or villains killing half of all life in the galaxy and retiring to a random farm something. Endgame had every chance to be about something, perhaps building on top of the themes of sacrifice, having the characters come to terms with its necessity on the path towards getting what they want, and further come to terms to showcase the true gravity that comes with such decisions. Or maybe it could lean harder into the idea of not giving up, actually have the characters grieve the impact of Infinity War's ending weighing down on them throughout the entire film, impacting their actions, or just anything. Instead, all we got was a a loose collection of cringe quips and wacky adventures into a series of essentially high-production blooper reels. There's first with a bunch of disconnected moments of sadness whenever characters suddenly had to die. All of it laid on top of a story so bare bones, it was ostensibly equivalent to a fetch quest in a video game. Just point A to B, B to C, fight a boss, and then it was just over. And I really thought Marvel was better than this. Or at least could have been better than this. I know they've sort of made a bit of a reputation for themselves nowadays, especially nowadays, as being almost synonymous with the word spectacle. Heck, Martin Scorsese himself even made rounds in the Marvel fandom a couple years ago when he said they were in cinema, just roller coasters in a theme park. But although part of me can see where he's coming from, these action-packed superhero blockbusters do have the proclivity for enjoying a mindless roller coaster ride, wave a light back and forth in front of your eyes for 3 hours spectacle. To me, at least, Marvel had always been an example of a company who understood those pitfalls and constantly strove to rise above it. It was honestly amazing going back and looking through old interviews and seeing just how cautious and passionate Feige, Favreau, everyone on the Marvel team were in terms of making sure that no matter the scale, they wouldn't lose sight of the intimate moments and personal storylines that make or break these films.
And that we have amazing artists and technicians that can help with this stuff. They can help with the big canvases. But what the filmmakers need to do is to sort of not get lost in all that and focus on the great character. And the big danger of the first Avengers was just getting overwhelmed with action. So many superheroes, so much spectacle, so many visual effects. And we knew there could be plenty of that. But the most interesting thing about the Avengers is why in the world are all these people in the same
Bruh.
And what would they do?
Those fireballs, man. Around so many times.
The outrageousness of different planets and aliens.
God damn it, I really want to continue.
And to me, that had always been Marvel's true strong suit. Their ability to take these overdone, soulless, spec-fest concepts and inject some real meaning and heart into them, creating movies that were not only fun to watch, but also stayed with you after leaving the theaters, because there was real substance behind all the flashing lights. Real, genuine stories of what it took to live the life of a hero. Even from the first Iron Man, from the very beginning, they weren't just a company soullessly adapting what was there in the comics, hoping to make a quick buck from a change of medium. They were a company that wanted to tell great stories. Like, take that original mic drop moment in Iron Man, for example.
I am Iron Man.
Did you know that line was improvised? I didn't. No, seriously, and not just a line too. The entire idea of him revealing his identity at the end of the movie. That wasn't just something in the comics they were lifting up out of the page. In fact, Tony in the comics keeps his secret identity very much hidden until way later, like issue number 55. Only for him to do the reveal to like save a puppy or something. But no, the folks over at Marvel decided to completely go off script and have him drop the bombshell right last second at the end of the movie just because it felt right. And it did feel right. When Tony makes the decision to reveal his identity, it feels natural. Because after all, it was the perfect culmination of what the entire movie was about. Because that movie was actually about something. This intimate story of a single guy realizing that he's made mistakes in the past and wanting to do better. The real story of a person deciding that he can, and more importantly wants, to be a hero. And at the end of the film, standing on that podium, having just gone through the first of many battles to be undertaking as Iron Man, being confronted with the idea of the person he used to be, he suddenly realized how far he'd come, and that he didn't want to hide it. So, you know.
I am Iron Man.
He is Iron Man.
I really love Marvel. I love living with these characters, checking in on them every couple years or so. To me, Marvel was a studio that made heroes real. By emphasizing the more flawed or human aspects of what it took to do the things these characters do, it transcended the realm of fantasy into the genuine stories of individuals choosing to be heroes. Individuals choosing to take responsibility for their actions, to stand strong even when the world was telling them no, to mature so that someday they too might be worthy to lead, to learn how to take the shit life throws at them and control it, use it for good, to believe in better, that no matter who you were in the past, as long as you choose to be good starting today, you will get a chance to set things right. And finally, to understand that even if you're a superhero, even if the weight of the entire world was on your shoulders, it's still important to have work-life balance. I really wanted to love Endgame. And for a second after watching it for the first time, I thought I did. After all, so many fun things happened, and so many sad things happened. And yet after the novelty of it all wore off a little, after the excitement of what this movie represented started drifting away, and the realization of what it actually was started sinking in, I couldn't help but feel a sort of emptiness start to take over. The dread that was soon turned into anger, then bargaining, then depression, and I guess now finally acceptance. Endgame was supposed to be the climactic story to cap off an industry-changing saga of films that were good because they told stories that actually strive for something more than the trifle they could have been. But instead, all we got was the exact lifeless piece of spectacle Marvel had been trying to avoid making from the very beginning. And it's just, looking back on it all, seeing all the pieces placed perfectly there that it just threw away, I couldn't help but feel like, what a waste.
Alrighty, that was something. I think I'm gonna end stream here. This was fun. We played with Pepe for a bit. We played some balloons, but now we're ending. Sorry everybody, but goodbye.